Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the new episode of Just Another G.I. Joe Show, episode 47. It's a new year, it's a new show, it's a new us, and Fred is wearing a Cobra Commander helmet now.
Citizens of the world, it is Snowmageddon! I don't know.
Snowmageddon. Fred just said he's up to 10 inches of snow there. It's crazy.
Woo!
So, all right, we got an interesting show tonight. We're going to catch up on some, we're going to talk about mainly some of our opinions on some of the club shenanigans. We'll keep it PG-13. If you want to catch the R-rated version, you can catch me on my Angry Mike episode of what I really think about a lot of crap they're doing. But Bobby wanted to come on. We're going to talk, I'm pretty sure, about his new adventure in the Steel Brigade family thing he's doing. And then Duffman reached out to me, and you were wanting to come on.
That's why I'm here. I submitted 16 things to Bobby.
Oh, did you really? Well, hold on a second. Shut up.
Wow, Angry Mike strikes early.
These damn dogs, man. I swear to God. The young one goes by the old one, and all she does is start growling.
Who's angry?
But I guess we'll talk about Bobby's stuff once he gets on. And then we're going to have John on. I'm sure he'd want to talk about he's been updating stuff on his Kickstarter. Not very, he might want to talk a little bit about that as well. And he's, please, no more comedy for Fred.
Oh, John, I've only begun.
So the last episode was second week in December, and I think had we had any FSS figures at that time, Fred?
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
no, I think they had shipped, but I don't think. At least I know I hadn't received mine yet.
I don't think we'd even gotten them yet. Is what the thing was.
But 8 has been dropping like a Vin Diesel movie, Fast and Furious. With the exception of the 6th shipment is not going to occur until February now, which
is bullshit.
Well, but
shit.
Which makes me wonder then: are the final 13 Ninja Force Zartan, the Night Stalkers, and all that all going to then follow after that? Because are they going to ship the final 12 before they finish FSS 8?
Lovely. I'm pulling up this.
And I think the only reason that they're waiting on the final for 8 is because of the corrected stands that they're sending.
And, I call that a cop-out because what the deal is that they had no problem spending that 75 cents or whatever it was to ship out that stand for Hollow Point. Granted, not everybody in 7 probably got on 8, but the point being is that I don't think it's fair for them to hold them hostage, is what I'm saying.
I agree with you this time. Sometimes we disagree. I totally agree with you.
Well, Mike, I'm just going to say no one is more disappointed with their shipping policies than they are. So,
when is that ever going to get old? Is it ever going to get old?
According to some people, it already is. According to me, never.
That's their canned PR message. It's just the way it is. It's a fact.
Yeah.
Here's what the email
See you
said.
in NOLA. See you in NOLA.
Yeah. Notice to all 8.0 subscribers, in your final shipment, approximately mid-February, you will receive a new stand for the red laser and missing flag attachment piece. That was one email they sent out. The email after that, they kind of played it off as, okay, we're going to take a break from shipping all these figures out every week, which in my opinion, you should have sent them all out at one damn time since you already have all of our money. And so, nickel and dime us on this shipping cost.
Except for they had already factored in the shipping charges into the pricing.
They'd already collected all the shipping prices and would have had to do a mass refund.
Yeah.
So I'm not taking their part in it, but I can understand the logic behind it. I mean, would you want to have to go through and individually process all those refunds?
No, and I was okay with that, but I think they should have kept to their promise of January for the rest of the FSS, no matter what their mistakes are. We all know they made mistakes. I don't care about that, but I think they should have sucked it up. At this point, all the money that everybody's already put into it, stick to your promises, put it in their hands this month in January, and then send the corrections out in a little baggie after that. Send it with just later on, 2 weeks after. I don't care.
Honestly, it really doesn't bother me that much.
Me neither.
You know, we got so much of FSS 8 so quickly that, you know, okay, the last shipment's actually going to come in the regular shipping manner, you know, where it's a month behind everything else. I can live with that. Really, I understand. I understand your point. I understand your point of view, Mike, and I'm not condemning it or anything like that.
I mean it.
But
it's more.
Red Laser was the first figure that came out for 8.
Yeah, he was.
And we all found out. We had not heard anything for what, a month? I think that figure came a month. Everybody figured, oh, we're not getting nothing. They're not gonna do anything. Why should they? They're done.
Yeah.
Then not only are they giving us that part, they're gonna be giving us a stand that fits that's got the Cobra symbol. I'm fine waiting 4 weeks to get that. Because I think that's
selling
cool.
And selling extra black ones for the other figures that have flags. But that's
cool.
The other 2 figures that have Cobra flags.
Still, I'm in. I'm going to buy half a dozen at least just for, you know, custom stuff and what have you.
Cobra Immortal. Customs, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
mean, again, you've got all those Retaliation Combat Ninjas that had flags that now, if you really wanted, you know, you can swap them out with, because they just had the dog tag stands, if I remember.
Yeah, and then the Retaliation Crimson Guard as well with the Cobra, the CG or the CGI,
the Immortal.
Yeah, the CGI.
I mean,
and let's be honest, nobody expected anything. I didn't even expect them to give us that little part. I was like, oh well, I guess I'll just get a Duke, and then I'll, you know, if I open one, I'll get my Duke.
I was gathering up the extras to cast it. But you know, I'm glad that they're doing what they're doing. I'm not gonna be mad. And like I said, I understand the point of view for everybody who is unhappy about it, and I'm not condemning that at all. So, you know, don't take it the wrong way. Just because I'm okay with it doesn't mean I think you need to be.
And what is funny though is, again, given that they're essentially done. Except for inventory clearance sale. Now they're in essentially like a liquidation status mode.
Inventory was
they don't have to do anything. I mean, like, what are we gonna do? Not renew? You know? And so,
I'm sure that there's contractual. I'm sure that there's contractual obligations that they have to fulfill stuff regarding, you know, what they signed with Hasbro and all that kind of thing. But that only goes so far. Yeah. So, you know, but like I said, I don't think it's a big deal.
And again, I'm usually one to hold the club's feet to the fire when they've screwed up. And I was pleasantly surprised with that email because, again, I didn't expect it.
I was shocked.
I want to read this thing real quick before we get too far.
Sure.
The 5th shipment. This is the email they sent out. Was the 5th shipment went out. Next, we will be working on all the existing. Here's what they said: the final 12 female troopers and Zartan. Yeah. So if you want to get your pre-order in now, because usually whenever they start filling pre-orders is when you're not allowed to purchase anymore until they fill the pre-orders.
Well,
I've seen that happen before in the past.
Well, I think what you're running into here is a little bit of a unique situation where they manufactured X amount of the final 12.
Yeah.
But whatever the minimum is in anticipation of sales, and anything that didn't pre-sale out already, which I'm sure is probably the good majority of it, is gonna be made available that way. So I think this is a bit unique situation for them, and I expect it will probably start getting the FSS 12 stuff. I mean the final 12 stuff. Yeah, the final 12 stuff before FSS 8 finishes. I mean,
you think they will finish? I mean, they'll do that first.
Yep,
I think it's very possible. It depends on where the stuff is. You know, if it's already here in the U.S. and they're doing inventory on it, they want to get it out of the way.
I think they will. I think we will have final 12 female troopers and Zartan out by the end of this month.
I think
really.
I think within the next 2 weeks, it's probably very likely.
Yeah, because that was initially said that it was a January release, and I think they're really going to hold true to that.
Really?
Well, and again, Final 12 though, it's not parceled for a shipping pattern. It's
yeah, it's all at once.
That's true.
That's true. Yeah, exactly.
So whenever it comes, it's going to come. They're not bound to, like we said earlier, having the situation where they've already factored in pricing for 6 shipments, and so they can dump it all in a big box and throw your bagged Night Stalkers in there and Zartan and
I mean, if you ordered everything,
hey, don't forget to pay $3 for before that.
I mean, if you ordered everything, they're just going to throw in one box and bam, I'm done. Yeah. I'm kind of curious if the final 12, if they're together. To my understanding, weren't they going to come in the brown box like the FSS?
Yeah. Everything. It's not 100% certain, but everything I've read indicates exactly that these guys are available in pairs. Well, the only reason they would do that is because they're shipping 2 packs together at a time, in anticipation of moving through the inventory fairly quick. So if you ordered everything, you're going to get all 6 of them, taped together, put in a bigger box with your other items that you bought, and that's going to be the end of it. So,
because I mean, think about it. They don't have to have. They've already got the packaging determined.
Yeah, actually, I was gonna. This is just an aside. I was gonna reach out to the club since they had that packaging designed, and see if we might license it from them to ship some of our single and double figures. Hey, Bob.
Yo, what's up, guys?
I'm sitting here putting together this basket case of an astronaut figure. Ooh.
Rub it in, John. Rub it in.
Man.
Monday.
Well, since you guys have John on the show, I think I'm going to.
I can boot him. Hold on, I'll boot him right off right now.
Gonna go drink some bourbon and play with your firearms, right?
Hey, did we get from the club any updates on how the selling of the final 12? They gave us like an update, I think once or twice, and did we get any more after that?
Nope.
I would say they're probably close to halfway sold through at this point. Obviously, they made a minimum number based on past conjecture. So, there is going to be some available after the fact, I think. But again, I don't speak for the club in that regard. It's just kind of educated guess. Wow.
I'll be curious to see if any of them, how long in the year they last.
I'm going to go ahead and predict that Hit and Run and Blizzard are going to be the first 2 packs to sell out.
Because
Hit and Run and Blizzard?
Yeah.
I think the Slaughter Marauders and Hit and Run and Blizzard.
The reason why I say that is I'm buying for other people who live overseas and stuff like that and want me to have it shipped here so I can verify that everything's good before they have it shipped overseas. And every request I've gotten is for Hit and Run and Blizzard at least. The other stuff, yes, but Hit and Run and Blizzard seem to be the favorites, especially guys in Europe. They love that 2-pack.
Yeah.
Let's since we, like I said, we hadn't get any of these figures before the last show. Fred, damn it, I wanted to pull up some pictures, but I can't find them.
That screen share function again.
Well, no, it's not that asshole.
It tasks me, and I shall have it.
No,
please, no more comedy bits, please, for the love of
dude. It's Rant the Con.
I know. I just don't care. You're really bad at it.
I know.
I enjoy it.
See, I'll give Rick $1.
Exactly.
That's about all it's worth.
I would change back.
That's cold blood there.
I'm going to step away and get a screwdriver so I can tighten up the thigh on this payload and see if I can figure out this loose knee. I'll be right back.
What you looking for, Mike?
I'm looking for the pictures that I've uploaded since we got these figures in. The first one was wasn't it Gridiron? No.
No, Gridiron was 4th shipment. No, 3rd. 3rd? 4th.
Mm-hmm.
All I know is I did a lot of re-equipping because I ended up buying a bunch of vintage parts because just having the pistol and a football, he felt a little light.
Yeah.
Who, Gridiron?
Yeah.
Shut your mouth.
Dude, I had to get him his giant rocket cannon. That thing's ridiculous.
The only thing that was wrong with Gridiron wasn't the fault of anybody who worked on it.
Oh, no, I just think I miss him not having as much gear as the vintage.
Yeah.
That's all. I just
went
and got him an extra gun.
That
Okay, so
was loaded, though.
This here was this. Y'all see these here as Gridiron and
Bulletproof was a sleeper of the set. He is awesome.
Oh,
I don't care what anybody says.
He is fantastic.
Yeah.
In fact, I think the Gridiron Bulletproof shipped together, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Right?
That was right. Yeah.
Or y'all
That
seen
was
the
like
picture?
the best box right
Yeah,
there.
we see it when you talk, Mike. When you talk, it
I'm gonna go ahead and say that this pairing is now the best of the set.
Yeah,
I don't have it.
I don't have it in hand, but it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Some people have them in hand. I don't know anybody who does.
Man, do you feel my icy stare right now? That was my wish list #1 figure. Gridiron was number 2.
Actually, I'm gonna say the last shipment was pretty damn legit as well.
Yeah.
Rick's pictures of Overkill. I don't care what a certain designer that's on this call is gonna say about how much he hated that figure. He nailed it. He freaking nailed it, man. That thing's awesome.
I'm gonna say that I initially took that particular person's view toward the Overkill build until I got it in hand and saw how well it works together. The metallic colors that they mocked it up in and everything really hurt the overall look of it. The executed final product is actually pretty good, and I don't think you could do any better in terms of trying to replicate that design in modern parts. I don't think you can make any changes out of stuff that's pre-existing. Obviously, you can always sculpt new things. Like that's my favorite gripe about Payload. That helmet, Bobby, I love you, but it needed to go, and you know it.
What would you have done better?
I would have told him to drop some of the vintage figures.
No. If you can't tool, what part would you?
Wait, no, we've had this discussion privately before. You know, there's not another helmet that fits that head. There's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, what are you gonna do? Tooling's always the issue, but it's like I'm sick of hearing the tooling gripe. It's like, guys.
Oh yeah. You know, I get that. You know, if they don't want to spend on the tooling, you can't make them. I think it should have been time for Angry Bobby to come out and talk to them.
There's some awesome figures that since our last show, some of the most dynamic modern figures I think hit. When I get a figure in hand and I can pose it around and really play with it and get to know it really well, and outside of the build, I'm just talking about a dynamic action figure. Fast Draw,
it's got a lot of playability.
Yeah, Fast Draw also up there. I don't care if everybody sees Blowtorch. I'm past all that. No. Dynamic figure and a lot of fun.
Fast Draw
man,
way nicer than
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Rick.
These shipments have gotten progressively better as this FSS has gone on because, and I don't know if that was an intentional scheduling thing, but first shipment was Clutch and Red Laser.
Yeah.
And then we got Bulletproof and Gridiron.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then we got Fast Draw and help me out.
Claymore?
Yeah, Claymore.
Claymore.
Yeah, it's Claymore. Yeah.
But
Cosby.
But in the Jello. Sorry, John. And not really. And then
Recoil, Overkill.
But Recoil and Overkill, like, damn, like this, it just gets better and better. And this was a series that I thought they peaked with 7. Quite honestly, I thought 7's roster was like, okay, this is it. You've maxed out. It's nice you're doing 8, and then seeing these in hand, like again, they're solid. I mean, to me, Overkill's a sleeper of this whole wave.
Yeah.
I have a question on Bobby. You might know on the Overkill bat was. You worked on that part of the way, or you worked with that with someone else, right?
Yeah, no. So what happened with Overkill was there was another figure that they wanted to do, but they couldn't do it. So then there was like a kind of a last minute replacement, and they asked me about Overkill, and I said I can come up with a really good version 1 build, and because of the time constraints, when I got my version 1 build done, they had already moved forward on a build for that version. Which I mean, if you're gonna do Overkill, you definitely don't do that version for sure. But you know, it's fine. It's what they did. You know, I know they like that era. I don't like that era, but also it's like out of all the Overkills, version 1 is by far the best.
Yes.
but also if you think about it, my version 1 build could have went in the Battle Force 2000 bat set, but it's fine for what it is. So they did it. The interesting thing is that when I gave them my builds for version 1, there were a lot of parts that me and I guess it was Lanny or Dave who did that build, that we were kind of on the same wavelength as far as parts to choose for that. So maybe one day I'll show my version 1 build, but from what I'm hearing, people like that overkill figure. I haven't gotten it yet, but at least people are digging it.
Well,
hey Bobby, do you remember who it was that they replaced? That they said, "Oh, let's go with the overkill," and they got rid of who was it that they were replacing?
I do. I'd rather not say right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Poor ice cream soldier.
I mean, if you talk about the fandom's going to be pissed off, is what it is. It's been one of them highly anticipated figure requests that no one really wanted. Maybe, who knows?
The guy that did that particular design, I met him for the first time last year up at Mike's show.
Yes, I didn't want to say his name either.
Oh no, I'm not going to either. It's for him. Okay. That's for him to reveal if he wants to, or the club to reveal if they want to. But super nice guy, and approaches G.I. Joe from a very different point of view than most of us, because he's not really a huge fan. He's a bot guy, and I think that having a fresh viewpoint on the builds there ended up being more successful than I thought it would have. When I saw the mock-up, I was like, yeah. But the in-hand figure is the executed product is much better than it had a right to be. I would have liked to have seen Bobby's build and really kind of made a decision, but in this situation, you don't get the chance to do that. So,
trying to see if I still has text message. I talked to him when it came out, and he said that it didn't come out the way it was supposed to.
Well, remember when we talked about it there the first night, and and I think it was you asked, what did I think of it? And I said, it's it.
Yeah. Then he was like, well, then tell me all about it. he called you out on it right then and there.
And I picked apart everything I didn't like about it. So
right.
Overkill was supposed to come with a tank, right, Mike?
Yeah, that's what I was fixing to get to, was the cutback on them. The most understandable cut was the mini hiss. I wanted as a drone. I wanted it in the Sonic Fighter backpack colors, so you could attach it via the back peg.
Yeah, the peg.
And pretend it made sense as a Sonic Force nod.
Until we get that mini tank drone somewhere down the line in EcoForce colors, I don't care.
He also went on to say how, when you do different build, this build, he said it had a lot of different parts to it because of different things. So that's why they couldn't include the tank on it. I was going to try to get him on. I never heard back from him, so he can explain it more than I could off of.
Why would he want to be on Why would he want to be on your show? You're too angry.
I know my show sucks. But yeah, I think let's see, they were originally meant as accessories too, because I wanted the body color as he wanted it as a Sonic Fighter Overkill, translucent body, and all just toned down to teal instead of bright green. So you could use him as Sonic Fighter and then put the accessories on him to make him Spy Troops. So there was some stuff that was supposed to be done that didn't actually happen in the long run.
Okay.
It's funny how many people through Instagram always get messages about, especially if I do like a 3 or 4 picture post on a club figure, someone will always say, "Hey, where did you get that?" And I'll say like G.I. Joe Club, and they're like, "There's a G.I. Joe Club." And at this point, it's so like, do I even answer? But it blows me away.
The club has never done a good job of awareness outside of the core Joe fandom, because I have encountered that more often, especially with JBL's Facebook page. There are people on there still that are like, wait, how do I join this G.I. Joe Club? What is this G.I. Joe Club? And I'm like,
yeah, you're a little late. You're a little late.
It's dead. Sorry. And that always just struck me as odd. And it's again, it's just a marketing decision. Is at some point the focus that they made a decision to focus on existing fans and not, hey, let's try to grow this organization as much as we could.
Yeah.
And
wait, what's JBL?
it's that site that never updates.
Yeah,
No shit, man. I'm so sick of that guy.
Some crackpot guy who only likes to do video reviews now.
Wait till your Cowboys come out. That's all I have to say.
Oh, that was a low blow.
Your shipment's gonna get lost in transit.
My shipment's I'm gonna open it. I'm gonna like, what's this?
Wait a minute.
Brown?
Did you even buy anything?
I want my all-in back.
Wow.
Hey, since we're on that subject, John, give us an update on yours. You've been updating on Facebook, I seen.
Well,
So where are we at on the Cowboys?
the information I'll make public here is that
We want all the information.
well, I'll give everything I can. I don't want to over deliver or under promise or under deliver and over promise. The original plan was to have everything in production by the end of the calendar year at the December. We've got a man on the ground over there who's doing some really good work for us. And there were a few things that he saw as potential issues that had to be fixed in the tooling. And then the going through the deco process is taking a while. I did post pictures of the most recent paint samples I've got. Well, I don't actually have them in hand. I just have the photographs. They are just about done with that process for the first pass. And I should have them in hand in the next 10 to 14 days.
Here's a question I have for you real quick. I'm, y'all know I'm new to the Kickstarter programs and stuff and getting figures. Is it normal for it to take this long?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I know a lot of people have got sunny, happy memories, but it took over 3 years for Boss Fight to get delivered, or right at 3 years because of delays. Marauder's first Kickstarter took almost 3 years. It's a matter of learning the process, building a dialogue with the factory, and setting the foundation for a good relationship. You have to have respect and courtesy. You can't get grouchy. You can't get, making false accusations. You can't go through there and just be an asshole because you're not happy. You have to continue to work with these people because you're building that groundwork for your future lines.
So you can't constantly completely say every time something happens it's the factory's fault.
No, you absolutely cannot.
You hear that, Savage? You can't blame the factory all the time.
Some of the things that happened were absolutely our fault because we had not been through the entire process in detail yet, and it's a pretty steep learning curve. I promise, if you want to try this, go ahead, but you're not going to like what happens. The thing to remember is you have a language and a cultural barrier, and I can't stress the cultural barrier enough because there was a problem that was created here, or in the process, that came from that cultural division. The way they do things there versus the way that we do things here socially. They had to tool an 11th tool, and the sum of money that was attached to that, they were just going to try to absorb so that they would maintain a good working business relationship with me, because that is how they do things socially, culturally. And it ended up being a bigger problem than it needed to be for them. And they didn't tell me that in the process because they didn't want to make me angry and let me walk away with the project or take my business somewhere else or anything like that. So when I found out that was one of the sticking points, I said, yeah, sure, we're going to absorb that cost. We're not going to blow up a potentially $250,000 deal over this, this paltry amount of money, relatively paltry amount of money. Any amount of money you're talking about over like $100 these days is just a ton. But this was not something that needed to be an issue. But because the way they do things in business, socially, and things like that, it really created a huge issue for them. The other thing was the thighs. If we'd have stayed with the clamshell design thighs like I wanted to, they were not going to guarantee that the figures would arrive without the hips being very loose. So you would have had a big QC issue there. You get the figures in and you hold it up and then the legs just flop. That's no good for anybody. Yeah. I would have preferred screws, but during the Kickstarter, I ran a poll of all the active members and asked them. I said, well, we're considering doing this because we want the clamshell design. I like it. I like its interchangeability. Why screw up with something that already works really well? And almost to like the 95 percentile of responses I got were no, we don't like it aesthetically. We want these thighs with no screws. So that, we were trying to sonic weld them together, and it ended up just not working. And then the fix for that process was a lot longer than we anticipated. However, it's all taken care of now. That's those little things, the things that are not major issues in and of themselves, start to pile up, and it can cause huge delays for what appears to be no real reason.
Right. Okay. And a couple questions in the chat people are asking, and this is nothing against Bobby by any means. Not everyone's cup of tea is what the build actually ended up being on a couple of these. But like Payload, for example, Payload looks amazing. I don't have mine in hand yet, but there are people asking about a helmet replacement for Payload, and then also helmet replacement on Fast Draw. Now, John, you were casting some. Is that correct? I don't remember.
The guy who's helping me with design stuff has been a little busy lately, and we haven't gotten as far along on it as we anticipated at this point. Also, the club delivered these a lot faster than I thought they were going to. I figured we weren't going to see these until at least the spring, but we're here in the winter, end of winter. You're coming up on the end of winter here, and it's already at the house. So,
right.
Still planning on doing the helmet. I'm going to pay to have it sculpted, and then I'll make resin copies. It'll be a brand new original design. Fast Draw, I've got replacement kits for those that don't dig what came with. I will say that Fast Draw in hand looks a bit better than I thought it would, but for me personally, I can't look at it and not see Blowtorch because the armor is used so many times. Now, I'm not griping at Bobby for his design work on that, because we've already had words about it and we're all cool with it and everything like that. But for me personally, it doesn't work that well. I do appreciate that the overall look really replicates the vintage design, and that the execution is successful. The color palette is fantastic. I love it. So, take that for whatever it is.
And then actually, same thing for me. I mean, Fast Draw I was hesitant about until I saw it in hand. But like you said, Blowtorch. Yeah, I kind of see Blowtorch. So I would like to have, might be personally, the rest of it's fine. It's just I want to replace that one part and see what it looks like. I might dig it. I might not. But I have an option now, and I can change it up if I want to, and then change it again later on back down the road.
One thing I want to point out about Payload, I'm sitting here fiddling with him right now, trying to get everything to go together. The Data Viper gauntlets, Bob, have not aged well in the tool. I mean, they were already difficult to keep together. Now they literally fall apart under their own weight. Now, that's not your fault. I'm not trying to say that. Oh, it's a bad design.
That's not an old mold.
I know it's not a good stable design from the get, which has nothing to do with you. I thought I would mention it. Yeah.
Do we happen to know who did the artwork on that card by some chance? Does anyone know?
I don't know, but it's excellent.
It's amazing looking. When the guy reached out and sent me the pictures that he'd gotten his, the first thing I noticed was, bam, that artwork was amazing.
The no explosion background.
That's what I said.
Brilliant choice.
That's pretty badass.
If I had anything, he told me, he mentioned it to me there that he loved that. I loved it too. I completely agree.
I need to see it. Where is it, Mike? Do you have a picture of it?
I'll send it to you right now.
John, hold it up there, John. You got to talk when you do it, John.
There it is.
Just talk, John. I know you can do that.
No. If I had any criticism about the art at all, and this is really stupid, he's got a fat ass.
Hold it back up while you're describing his butt. There you go.
Well, look how wide around his waist is. Now it's supposed to be a spacesuit, so that makes sense.
Yeah,
but if that's all I can find to gripe about, this is a very successful piece of artwork.
That artwork is absolutely amazing.
You know what?
Man.
If every FSS piece of art was that good, damn.
Jesus.
They did manage to get the helmet drawn on there straight, not lopsided like it comes out of the tool. So that's a success. Bob, I know you're itching. Come on, say it.
Like, I'm just over it. I'm fucking over it at this point. It's just
I like I said when we talked about it before, I know there was no other choice. I know there was no other choice, and because
You
of
know,
that,
I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Everyone knows. Everyone knows. I don't want to fucking talk about it anymore. It's like over. The things are shipping. Who cares? Who cares? People bought it. Who cares?
Are we bitching about
You obviously spent your money on it.
Still trying to close that chapter on your life. It's not over, pal.
Hey, let's go ahead and talk about something positive.
That was
Bobby,
positive. Yeah.
I want Bobby to be happy. Bobby, go ahead and tell everybody who hasn't seen yet on any of the social media groups about what you're currently doing, which seems to be a really cool concept.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's not even the biggest thing I'm working on right now. I'm actually, as we're talking, I'm working on my.
Good. Tell us about that too while you're at it.
My Kickstarter that's going to hopefully be launching in March. This is what I'm working on.
Man, that's soon. That is soon, Bobby.
But I've been working fast, man. Working fast. But no, I had this. I kind of had this idea because you guys know I'm a huge Steel Brigade fan, and I bought so many over time, and I thought, you know, the coolest aspect of it is that there's a name on there. It's like that kid chose that name, and kind of that's like set in stone, you know. And I'd say probably only 10% of the file cards actually exist nowadays. But like those file cards have the name, and they also have a serial number on it, and some kids signed them. So it's like the file cards are trackable. It's not like just getting a Duke file card where everything's the same. You can't track that figure. There was thousands made. These you can actually track over, you know, from 87 to 94. It was like a good amount of years that you can track these figures that were released. So I started tracking my own. I made my own kind of spreadsheet that had the serial numbers on them, the placement of them, the figure's name, if the kid signed it, so who the original owner is. And then I started thinking like, man, there's other people out there that have these. It's like I try to buy every one that comes up on eBay, but it's like just doing a Google search for like Steel Brigade file card. It's like people posted tons of them up there that you can see. And so there's ones that I didn't know about. So I was like, man, it'd be really cool to like track these, like be able to track everyone so that everyone can contribute. It's kind of like a Steel Brigade wiki in a way. So I was talking to two guys I'm friends with that are prominent in the Joe community, and you know, I kind of bounced the idea off of them, and they thought it was a cool idea, but you know, they were both super busy. But it's like I didn't know anything about like web design. But a couple of months ago or a month or two ago, I purchased the domain name for my company that I've created, and I was like, well, I'm going to need to create a website, so I'm going to have to learn how to do this. So I said, let me test it out with this Steel Brigade site and figure it out and learn to do it. So this way, when I go and want to launch my site, I kind of know what I'm doing. So I just kind of threw the Steel Brigade site out there, and I didn't think it would be anything major, because it's like, well, Steel Brigade isn't Snake Eyes. He's not like the most popular Joe. He's probably like one of the least popular Joes. And, you know, I was just like, yeah, people might think it's kind of cool, and hopefully I'll get maybe 5 people to contribute. And it's like, I think when I started the site, I had 40 some odd Steel Brigades tracked, and now we're almost at 90. So nice. It's been really awesome how great everyone has come around and thought that thought that this site was a cool idea, and the reception, I couldn't believe it. And all the page views, I was like, holy shit, it had 1,000 page views in less than 24 hours. So, I guess the fact that there's really no Joe things happening, it was probably a good time to launch it because it didn't get lost in the mix. But I've been really, really excited about what people have thought about, and everyone, shooting me messages and telling me about, their figures. And I, there are a lot of people that are like, oh, I remember my figure's name. I don't have him anymore. I don't know where he is. Okay, well, I can create a section of the site that caters to that. That's what the update I just did this week or last week was missing in action. And it's like, that's everyone that can remember their figure or remembers their figure name and sold it to someone else, or remembers selling it, or, hey, I just have the figure, I don't know the file card, but this is his name. It's like, I want to be able to track that stuff too.
So you're gonna use that as a reverse lookup type of tool? That would be awesome. Pretty
much. So it's like, I even took some of the ones on Google that I was able to find, like Google images of file cards, and put the names on there. And if I could see the serial number, I put the serial number on there so that maybe those people will come forward and say, hey, that one's mine. And I did get one person that did come forward and say that.
That's awesome.
So
that is awesome.
It's been really great. I'm really psyched about it. It's slowed down now because everyone kind of has seen it, so the peak happened. But everyone, there's some people that are like, I gotta find mine. I'm gonna get it out. I'm gonna get you the info. So I don't think it's kind of gonna be one of those things that people check every day, every week. But hopefully, it's kind of one of those things that sticks around and people know about. And if people just want to go on there and look at cool Steel Brigade stuff, or I put a couple stories on there about like version A versus Gold Head because of my thoughts on it. We just debunked version E as a fake, so I put that up there to kind of let people know. The next thing I definitely want to put up there is something I keep getting hit with, and I put it up on Instagram, and I actually messaged a seller about it today. It's like, I see people trying to sell Steel Brigades, and the market on them is like super, super high, and they're selling really well. But people are trying to sell version D and just version D with the Crimson Guard gun, which that figure never came with that gun. He came with either the airborne rifle or the recoil rifle. And 2, the Crimson Guard rifle is black, and the Steel Brigade version that had the Crimson Guard rifle is dark gray. So there are people selling a version D with a Crimson Guard black rifle, and people are bidding on it. And I'm like, I think these people the people buying it just aren't wise to it, and they aren't educated. They don't know all the versions like the back of their hand, like some of us do. So I messaged the seller. I'm like, hey man, you're selling the wrong. You're calling it complete, and you're saying everything's original. That's not the case, man. He wasn't supposed to have that rifle. And 2, that rifle isn't even a Steel Brigade rifle because it's black. And it's like, I just bought one, and I knew the rifle was wrong, but I bought one when someone took an accessory pack blue rifle and painted it black, and I was able to like scrape the black paint off.
Oh,
it's just funny. It's like really funny. So I'm gonna put a story up about kind of just being educated on the versions you're buying. I know it may be overwhelming. Like oh my God, there's so many versions of it. There's really not. There's A, which you can't miss A. B and C are similar, but you can get past them. But B and C, the only ones that come with the Crimson Guard rifle. So it's like, if you just educate yourself as far as what comes with what, you'll be able to be a smarter buyer. And then these sellers that are selling the wrong versions won't be getting a high price for them. And then it's driving the price up so that when a complete one comes, people are like, why am I spending $100 on a complete Steel Brigade? It should be like $60. Well, it's because people are paying high prices for ones that aren't correct. So that's kind of my next thing to tackle. But it's like, I messaged that seller earlier today. He said, all right, thanks. And it's like, he still didn't change it. It's like, buddy, you're selling.
Was it an eBay seller?
Item. Huh?
Was it an eBay seller?
It's an eBay seller, yeah.
He's not going to change it.
So it's like, it just sucks because like he's got bids, and it's like people are bidding, and I'm like, I sure hope those people know what they're doing. Maybe someone's like, okay, well, I have an extra rifle, or like me, like I have a bunch of extra rifles and backpacks, so it's like I don't mind buying the wrong ones because then I can make the complete. But if you don't and you think it's complete, and you're just like, oh, I really wanted a Steel Brigade, I never had one, and you're like, oh, cool, I'll start bidding on this one. It's not complete, man. So
I think my favorite part of the site, and again, I'm one of those people where Steel Brigade was coming in kind of as I was getting out of Joe initially.
Me too, Fred.
Because of age. But my favorite part of the site is reading the code names that people gave them, because a code name tells you a little bit of a story. And I'm skimming through it right now, and there, there's Ravage, the Liquidator, Taco tells me. Captain Moon, Brick, there are just so many, I see one down here, Guns N' Roses, and I think, to me, for something like the Steel Brigade, this was the fans' chance to personalize them. And that name is telling a little bit of a story about that person who built it. To me, that's the best part of the whole site, because suddenly I'm fascinated by the Steel Brigade that's comprised of all these crazy guys, and they have their own stories. So if people don't know what the URL is, again, it's steelbrigadetracker.com. So if you have a Steel Brigade, get your butt to Bobby's site and log him in, damn it.
Yeah, actually, for me, that's really interesting. And I like that you're going to be able to do kind of a reverse lookup on that, because I sold my file card with some other stuff a long time ago, but I remember the name that was on it and some of the specialty stuff I picked. So I'm hoping that I'll get a chance to recover that now as a more seasoned collector and a little more cash to be able to buy it back. I mean, that's really cool. I dig it, Bob.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, and like Fred, going back to the names, like after the day after I launched the site, I went over to Daryl's house to help him with some stuff, and I showed him the site, and he like got all excited like a little kid and ran to a box and started going through some stuff, and he pulled out his original 2 file cards of the figures that he mailed away for, and he had a version D and a gold head. And the funny thing was, is the first version he had, the version D, he named the figure his name, so it's Daryl the Priest.
I saw that
figure, and then when Goldhead came around, he named it something else. It was, and then he goes, I probably thought like, man, I worked my way up to get a code name, you know.
Off the top of your head, Bobby, has anybody registered the name Trip Hammer yet? Because that was the name of my guy.
Trip Hammer?
Trip Hammer.
No, but let me make a note of that so I can.
Oh, I'll send you the information.
Oh yeah, send me the info.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then it's like it came in like huge waves, so it's like I had to like spend a couple days like going through all this information and like tracking it down and then updating the information. And then I was like, oh, so the map that's on there, the map was a cool idea. The name of it, like Steel Brigade State of Mind, that was kind of something that Mark Weber came up with back when we were at Hasbro working on the brand together. He wanted a way to kind of track the Joes like throughout the country, and so I created that logo for him. It was like the G.I. Joe logo with the stripes, and then like the map, the USA map, and State of Mind on it. And I thought that was so cool, and I said, you know what, I said to him, I said, Mark, hey, I want to use that for the site. He's like, yeah, man, that'd be great. So I think it's cool that we're able to show on a map like where all these Steel Brigades are, and I think it's kind of funny that really none of them have been on the West Coast yet. At least no one's gotten back to me about it. But there's one in Alaska. I couldn't believe it. There's one in Alaska.
That's cool.
So that updating, that's always fun. So I'm really enjoying it, and people are really digging it. So I'm excited. I gotta
excited for when you have to update the map to show other non-US geography.
Yeah. So once I kind of get a little deeper into the UK and the Canada ones, I'll start updating that too. Because the cool thing is on the Canadian file cards, it had your name and address, so it like that information wasn't lost, like it was on there, so you can kind of track that. It has the original owner and the location, but it may not be where they're currently located, but it's where they started. The UK ones are a little harder because they also I don't think they have a serial number on them. I also only have one. I'll have to ask Chris McLeod if there's additional information on his. He still has his from when he was a kid. So
tell me his character's name, Captain Hairdo, please.
Pompadour.
That would be funny. So yeah, so that's the Steel Brigade tracker site. So
dude, that's a great project.
Hey Bobby, now how are you going to modernize that and bring that concept into what you're working on? Because I know you're bound to want to.
Oh, man, the stuff the stuff that I'm working on now, and the things that I have coming, man, it sucks because when I know something, I want to tell everyone. But it's like I can't gotta stop from like saying stuff. But
don't shoot yourself in the
foot. I've said it on here before. I am launching my own figure line. It will be 6-inch, so that's about all you're getting right now. But I'm hoping I'm on track to get the Kickstarter done or launched for March, mid to late March. If that needs to go to April, it'll go to April. But trying my best to hit those deadlines, and I'm really excited. I got kind of a newfound bit of creativity working on this because it's mine. I get to kind of do what I want. I don't have to worry about license or royalties or anyone telling me what I can and can't do. I just do what I want, and it's been good so far. I got some good people attached to it to help out with the production of it. So hopefully, I know what John said about Kickstarters being a long thing. Hopefully, we can alleviate a lot of that and get this out fairly quickly. Because I know
I hope you do. I hope you do.
When you guys, I know, when people buy something, they kind of want it, and I understand that, so I'm hoping to it's not going to be a quick process. It does take time. It is product development, but we'll see what we can do to get it out as quickly as we can. The thing that I feel bad about is that there's so many people that did it before me, guys like John and Marauders and Boss Fight, and it's like they kind of went through all these growing pains, and now I'm kind of like leapfrogging over them, saying, "Hey, tell me everything you did wrong." So that we don't have those issues. But it's
I'm happy to share all of that.
And I appreciate that. I'm fortunate enough to everyone that I've talked to Bill from Eagle Force, and me and John are tight, and I've talked to other people that are doing these other projects, these other Kickstarters, and they've been really, really great about sharing information and being very welcoming. It also probably helps that I'm not stepping on anyone's toes and trying to go into the 3 3/4 market.
Well, it's a very true adage that a rising tide floats all boats. And if we all have some success with our projects, it's just going to make the awareness of all of the projects a bit bigger, because you can say, "Oh, I worked with this guy," or "I know this guy and he's doing some great stuff," and then he tells the next guy about your project. So everybody wins on that regard. So exactly. I don't mind sharing it all. I love hearing Bobby's replies when I'm complaining about something that's not a particularly pleasant part of the process, of which there are many.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna I got a table at Joe Fest, so I'll be there. Hopefully, I'll be there, selling shirts and patches and stuff, and then being able to show protos of the figures, because that'll be well after the Kickstarter has already finished up. So hopefully I'll be able to show some cool stuff. So
were you supposed to say that out loud?
What was that?
Were you supposed to say that out loud because you haven't been announced as being there yet?
Maybe you just did.
Yeah, I
know, right?
did. I mean, I bought a table. I didn't think I was anyone special to have an announcement.
Let me ask you this, Bobby, publicly. Do you want to fart around in the class, do some fun stuff?
If when's the class? Because
Friday.
I'll be the only one at my booth, so
the class doesn't take place during the actual show. It's on Friday. Okay. Before the pre-show events that night. So
yeah. I'll swing by for sure.
Just asking if you wanted to.
I would love to.
If he doesn't, I'll come there and keep you company, John.
I'm not going.
Are you guys all going to Joe Fest?
We're all going
to Joe Fest.
Yeah,
that's right. Because you were holding out for HasCon there, buddy.
I am.
What happened to that one?
How's that working out for you?
I can't wait to go. Oh wait, there's no
HasCon.
I'm not going to Joe Fest either, though.
So let's talk about that. That was something we've been talking about, how we were going to have a BobbyCon, and now that's not going to happen because no one's going to Rhode Island now.
Yeah. Well,
we're moving to Tennessee.
You bringing the food truck with you, Bobby, to Joe Fest?
Sure. Hey, listen, I have an idea for a food truck too. Don't get me started.
Whiskey on one half, whiskey in the back.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, good luck with the TABC license. Hey, Mike, I just posted pictures of the individual figures on my page on Facebook if you want to lift them and show the folks.
So much.
Yeah.
On Facebook?
Yeah.
Give me a minute. We all know I'm slow.
You don't have them in hand yet, do you, Bob?
I do not.
No. I was going to ask you what you thought of the look of that one part that we swapped out, because I think it turned out really nice.
Which
that one part.
That one part.
On who?
On the astronaut. I handed it to you at JoeCon. I hope you didn't lose it.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I have it.
Okay. All right, cool. I'm interested to see what you think it looks like on the thing when it's all done.
Yeah, me too.
Could you rub a little more vague on that for the rest of us? That one part on the guy and the thing.
Hey, this is public. Everybody's cryptic.
Hey, Rick, you know that thing we were talking about the other day with that guy?
At the place.
Canceled because the first one no one came, or I don't know what the turnout for the first.
No,
one
it's
or is it because they're possibly, from what I'm hearing from people that
relocating.
live in Rhode Island, they're going to Tennessee possibly.
The popular scuttlebutt, if you read the business papers right now, is that they're strongly considering Providence. However,
well, Providence wants to. Okay.
Because they're in Pawtucket. Providence is just down the road, and I think they've already got a presence there, don't they, Bob?
They do, yeah.
Yeah.
I said Rhode Island's not that big. It's like 4 counties.
Yeah, I can drive across it in 45 minutes. It's like 2 counties in Texas put together. That's it. That's all you get.
Got the picture pulled up.
The business report papers have said that. They've also mentioned Tennessee. I think Providence is probably the easiest position for them, and I think that's the reason for canceling the show. I mean, if you don't know what's going to be happening with your company 6 months down the road, you can't really host what's international event. You know,
Rhode Island wants them to stay so bad they'll probably pay for HasCon.
Oh yeah, no, I'm Pawtucket. I'm sure is the mayor and the city council are all shitting their britches.
Exactly.
At the loss of tax revenue. Yeah. It's hard to say for sure. Obviously, we're not party to all that kind of stuff, but
there's no timetable on that, right? It's just whatever happens.
I haven't seen anything in any of the stuff I looked at, and I followed it up a little bit. Wall Street Journal, Business Insider, and stuff like that, and I haven't seen anything that was really very specific because I think it's still early days. But
yeah, I think there was something by Q2. They would say something by the end of Q2, but that's it.
Well, they have to be very careful as a corporation with public holdings that you don't make any kind of conjectural announcements so that it doesn't affect your revenue because you answer to the shareholders first and then anybody else. So, the big companies are always very careful about making public announcements just for that reason because if your stock dips for 2 weeks because you made an announcement and ends up changing, that's going to show up on your quarterly report, and your stockholders are not going to be happy. So, I see
Elon Musk. Cough.
I see Bobby's throwing up the pictures there. Bob, go ahead and bring that first one up that you got. Not Bobby. It's that stupid mic. I'm sorry.
Y'all can talk because it's pulled up where the viewers can see it. Right now, all they can see is the payload.
Well, I was going to say on the payload that you're looking at right there. That's my personal copy that came in today. One of the things that I was supposed to be changed with it that I know of didn't get taken care of, so the head sits a little bit higher than it should. So that one doesn't have a painted head on it because that's a resin hard copy that I made of the head that's been modified on there. So disregard the fact that he's got no eyebrows and stuff like that. I did take an individual photograph of the head so you can see what the paint job looks like. As you can see, it's a really dynamic figure. The back view has got a backpack on it that it doesn't come with. I added that for my own personal usage. So
this backpack in the back, little small pieces, is the extra one you added?
Yeah, it doesn't come on the figure. If you see it's a completely different color, white.
Are you putting me? I need an umbilical port for my Defiant.
You can absolutely plug an umbilical into the back of that backpack, but the figure's going to fall out when you try to pose it.
That's a problem in space.
It's the same old Data Viper. It's a good design. I love what Bobby did with it, but it has all the problems that the Data Viper had. So.
Now this head here, is this the head that comes with it?
Yeah, that's the head that's actually on the figure. You can see the paint job's executed really nice. Bobby and I spoke very privately about this just a few minutes earlier, and he thought that the pample on the mustache isn't quite as full and long as it's supposed to be going down. From the picture, Bob, what do you think? Do you think that's actually a pretty accurate assessment?
Let me see, because the picture's not like up.
You got to
blah blah blah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's showing too much upper lip.
Yeah, I thought so.
If you look at the Leoric figure, that's like a fat ass Tom Selleck mustache, and
I was thinking it was more of a British bush broom, like Sergeant Major would wear.
So yeah, that's kind of my only issue with it. But how many people are you're probably going to display it with the helmet on? Anyway.
Yeah.
You know what, Bobby? For no tooling, no anything, I think the payload of all FSS is top 5. It's beautiful.
Thanks, man.
I love it.
Thanks. I'm glad.
I got to get it in hand.
But it's not better than Hit and Run.
The helmet, is this the helmet that comes with it? Or is the helmet you made?
Yeah,
John?
it's helmet comes with it. I don't have a helmet to show you that.
Okay, I thought it was more translucent than that.
How's the helmet fit on the head? Because I know on General Hawk it was mine was pretty snug.
Because the head is bigger than what the helmet was designed for. It appears broader this way.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, visually that did take care of some of the distortion that's in that particular tool. I think that, like I said a while ago, I think that given what was available to be used for that, and barring any new tooling, you couldn't have done a better build, really. The colors are pretty good. I think the silver is probably a little bit darker than what might have been intended, but that's not for me to judge specifically. I mean, overall it's a great figure. I'm glad to have it. I absolutely have no problem paying $35 for something that ends up looking that well.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a question regarding another FSS, the recoil. Now, all of recoil is like dark green, medium green, and light green. There's no brown on it, but the mock-up there was supposed to be, correct?
He looks a lot lighter colored than the mock-up overall.
But
yeah,
bear with me, I'm colorblind with greens and browns, so maybe it is brown, but to me,
no,
it's
not.
Okay, so I mean, I still like it. I did get it in hand, and I do see the camo, but I just thought the darker camo would be brown, and then the green would be in the background. But it's just all a mix match of different greens. So that's how it is, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. I didn't spec any brown. It was just there was a light tone, a medium tone, and a darker tone. But like greens on the lighter tone is more of a tan. There should have been no browns in it. But I noticed like on some of the pictures they missed the camo on like his lower torso for some reason.
Yes,
correct.
It's muted. It looks like they're trying to evoke those modern tack shirts where like the torso is mostly
the frog shirts. Yeah,
and it because somebody posted, I think it was John posted a picture, and you could see that the camo's there, but it was significantly muted.
That was my friend Josh from down here. He posted that with the off.
Well, I got the vintage one here, and my wife's like, honey, there's no brown on that. That's all green. So, hey, you did a great job. Like I said, she's like, that's dark green. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks. Thank you. So,
well, I think it's a really good representation of that character in POC style, and I think that's probably what was intended. And if you remember, we all believe that POC, almost without exception, was the best interpretation of G.I. Joe because it took everything that was identifiers for that particular style or design and just updated it with new parts, better parts. And I think that that's a really good translation of Recoil. I would like seeing the color palette shift a little bit in the production figure to be a bit darker overall, but I still think it's a great execution myself. So
yeah. The last wave of Overkill and Recoil was my favorite, but now it looks like it's probably going to be
Payload.
That's not a bad problem to have.
No, the Munitia. My only critique of this is
see the Munitia picture.
Yeah, my only critique about the Munitia is when you look straight on, which that picture is close to straight on. Her jawline is a bit square. It's a bit more mannish than feminine, but you know, not every woman is a Playboy model. Like not every man is freaking He-Man. So
let me look at how I drew her because I did the head the input for that one. So.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that was pointed out was that
keep talking.
The color difference. The blues are way darker than the mock-up was. The mock-up showed a very light blue.
I think
that's a nice picture, though.
I think that blue probably, if you look at it, will match Claymore. It's probably the same blue from Claymore.
Oh, yeah.
You want to gamble on that, I imagine. Yeah.
Well, and it's funny too because when she was released, the club did her with, if I remember, blue. But but the original was protos were purple.
Yeah. As far as critiques of the figure, and understand first, I love this figure. I think it's fantastic. It's a great translation. The head design is fantastic. Bobby, I love that work.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say as a critique is the jawline execution on the sculpt, but it's not something that I hate. It absolutely is acceptable. And the solid silver boots. And I know they did that to ape the DTC design that this is based on, but it just doesn't make any sense to have a metal cover over the entire top of your foot.
I'd say
silver disco boots went out in about 1979.
The only thing that I miss on it, and not having it in hand, and it's more a limitation of the number of parts they wanted to use to produce it. I loved the fact on the original the visor popped off.
Yeah,
and that's just a minor little detail. It was just an extra thing you could do. Where you could have her holding the visor. But
I think looking at this sculpt in hand, given what we know of the past of the company that's been sculpting this stuff, if you'd have made the visor removable, they would have botched the execution. You would either have the top of the forehead be too narrow, or the visor just be too over large in terms of making the part so that it would pass, child safety stuff and thickness tolerances, things like that. So
I'm just shocked as hell we got Munitia, quite honestly.
You should see, if you look at the back picture of this, the way they did the design on the wrap that goes around the back of her head, it's very dynamic. It's full of sculpt detail.
Did they keep all that? Because I know when I did the input, I was like, I hope they keep all that.
No, yeah. Look at the back photo that I posted, and it is fantastic. They did a great translation of that. The only thing that did surprise me about this figure, and this was a pleasant surprise, this is the only figure that uses that particular belt, where the belt was pushed down in the proper position on her waist when the figure shipped. Nice. All of the Night Stalkers and the Cobra female troopers and all that use the same thing. It's up around above their belly button. Yeah. So
another FSS figure, just because we've gotten them so quickly, one that is one of my tops that turned out so well is Bulletproof. I remember the mock-up people were like,
fantastic.
But then I got that figure, and I don't know what it is about the figure, but we got that head, and a lot of people were complaining, oh, that head, we hate that head. But that head for Bulletproof, I don't know why. It just looks so much nicer than whoever had it previously. It was a Battle Force 2000 character, wasn't it?
Dodger.
Or was it
Dodger.
a Sky Patrol character?
Yep.
Dodger.
Sky Patrol. Oh, Dodger. Okay.
Dodger. So, we're getting that ahead. We're getting third use out of that.
Yeah, so Battle Force 2000 Dodger. Yeah. I did not like that head, but for Bulletproof, I think he looks fantastic.
I think the sculpt's way more appropriate for Bulletproof in terms of the ethnic features of the sculpt. Dodger, it was fine, but it didn't really scream a reference to that original figure. But in this particular circumstance, I don't know if it's a change in the color palette or whatever, but it works. If you look at the sum of the figure, you have a really interesting design choice in the body using the Firefly figure from Retaliation. So you've got a great jacket design with a lot of detail. And then they use the same old legs that have been used on everything, except these are the ones that came from the 50th anniversary Firefly that has the two different new tool pouches on it. So you get what could have been a very mundane build that has just little choices of dynamism in the build that overall make the sum of the parts better than they should be.
Because now I've got it. And now I'm bummed that I'm not going to get any more DEF figures. So.
Oh, I'm dying for more DEF.
That's the dumbest damn thing ever.
Damn it.
It's killing me.
Thunder and Mutt, come on.
Star Brigade before DEF. Star Brigade before DEF.
Shut your mouth.
Man.
How dare you?
And John, the only reason I say that is because it's a lot easier. It would have been easier for the club to do DEF.
Why don't you go start a Tiger Force Outback or something? All right, buddy.
Nothing wrong with Tiger Force.
Meow.
Someone
Tiger
said
Force sheets.
There was someone on Facebook that said they had asked, "Hey, how many exactly Tiger Force figures are there?" And someone tagged me. They're like, "Well, Mike would say there's not enough, and Fred would say there's one too many."
No, Fred would just say there's too damn many.
Yeah, well, that was pretty good. I just saw that, I think, today or yesterday.
You know what? I like Tiger Force. I collected them when they were Thundercats. Sorry.
Oh, that is a harsh indictment, my man.
Yeah.
Harsh. I think you need to be punched for that.
Wow.
And now my figures are gonna. Now my Dime Novel Legends are gonna come not only with an exclusive cow pie in the box, but John will have punched every single package.
Yeah. Coming pieces, you got to put it together yourself.
Hey, Bobby, when you get a chance, look at your phone. I sent you something.
Okay.
I want to hear your thoughts on that privately. Haha, more vague.
Hey, I sent you that private thing about that other thing with the guy.
Yeah, about the guy.
It's on here.
And you know what the funny part is that he's sending it privately, but he's sending it the same text message as me attached to it.
What?
Yeah, I see what you sent.
It might as well have been public, guys. Sorry.
Well, yeah.
Mike's got it. You guys are in trouble, man.
Now remember, Mike, you're not supposed to talk about some stuff until after the
Mike
class.
is getting kicked out right now.
Good job, John. Good job.
It's already on the front page of his tank. I don't know how that happened.
TMZ.
Shut up, Rick.
Damn it.
TMZ.
That's what I get. That's what I got. That's what I get for just looking through my text on the phone and hitting Bobby's name.
And somehow the TM in TMZ is Tiger Mike.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sorry, Bobby. I didn't mean to breach confidentiality.
Hey, man. It's all good.
I don't know
Is it? Because I don't trust the guy with the beard. I don't.
Hey, Rick, did you just get that message from Mike?
I do actually. It's still waiting for me.
You know what? Fuck all you guys.
Hey, listen. Mike already felt my wrath at JoeCon, so he knows.
Mike's not stupid.
Anything.
Oh, that was
bad. And this is sad. Is that I stayed in my hotel room for a couple extra hours before I came out. When I got those text messages after I goofed up, I was like, that motherfucker, he'll probably come kill my fat ass.
I was on the warpath. I was looking for you.
And that was before you knew how well armed Bobby was.
I know, right? Now I'm really scared shitless.
That was probably
you can't cross state lines. You can't cross state lines.
That was probably the second.
Bobby, you were in the South. There were plenty of firearms.
I was just going to say that was probably the second most entertaining thing that happened at Con. It was.
When Bobby walked up to me, he's like, "Hey, you see Mike?" But it wasn't like regular. It was kind of like somebody had put a hit on him.
It's like, "Hey, you see Mike?"
Yeah,
nothing good was coming out of that.
It was kind of like Robert Patrick in Terminator 2 when he shows up. He's got the photo. Suddenly, Bobby's wearing a motorcycle cop uniform. It was kind of awesome.
Dead spot.
JoeCon was over 6 months ago. Time sure flies.
Yeah.
Now it's only 6 months till Joe Fest.
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh my God, deadlines.
Yep. Shit, man. I started a company since JoeCon.
I got a public request I want to put out there. I need the helmet from Real American Hero Comic Pack Flash or the 94 Astronaut. I'll buy it. I'll trade for it. Whatever you want. I need an extra. I bought the complete figure. It's for a project coming up that's public, and I misplaced the helmet. So now I need one to make a new mold with.
You need the astronaut head helmet?
Yeah, just the helmet.
It cost you one full order of your Cowboys.
John, let me look and just eliminate one of the pieces of cow shit you're going to use to package my figures with.
Well, the great thing about cow shit is when it's dry, it makes a great fire.
It does.
Yes, it does. And it's all snowing where you guys live. I don't have snow, so
I ain't got no snow. I want snow so bad.
No, you don't. No, Mike, you don't. We've got the beginnings of it outside right now.
I'm wearing shorts.
If we had recorded earlier today, I had joked with Amanda I was going to record on the deck, so it would be snowing outside, so you could actually see it.
Live report from Blizzard 2019. I can't believe that I'm out here wearing no clothes because I'm stupid.
Whoa!
That's one thing about
celebrates in the snow.
That's one thing about Arkansas weather, man. It could be like one day it could be 70 degrees, and all of a sudden it'd be 30 the very next day.
Yep.
Or that night, and then when it does snow, shit, people don't know how to drive in that crap. They're all over the place. Wrecks everywhere.
What's this snow you speak of?
I know
Yeah, exactly.
You think people around here would be used to it, but we have a Little Caesars in town, and a buddy of mine works near there, and he texted me a picture, and it took me a second to realize, oh, there's a pickup truck in front of Little Caesars. No, there's a pickup truck halfway into Little Caesars. And it was on the snow. They just blew right in. I mean, when you want pepperoni, damn.
Your $5 fast pickup, whatever the hell it is.
You guys have a drive-through?
You do now.
So I have to ask, it's been a while since we've all been on, and this is somewhat Hasbro related. Have you guys seen Bumblebee?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
And
Fuck no.
I refuse.
Oh, you need to see it. I mean, yeah, you know what? Bay might have got us with no lube, but this dude did an extremely great job with this movie.
I liked it.
And the sad part is that
it's much better. It's not perfect, but it's much better.
The sad part is that it made profits overseas because the people over here didn't want to go see it.
Let me ask you something about that. Given your particular viewpoints about how it's much better, is it much better in the way that G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra was lesser than G.I. Joe Retaliation?
No, they haven't.
Are you only happier because it's less of an offense, or is it actually better?
I'll speak to that. So I'm a big Transformers fan, and for me, like the first 10 minutes of the movie, I want to see that movie. I want to see that as a feature film, but they actually got an actress to be in this movie.
Yeah,
and she's great. She holds the whole story together.
Well, they actually told a story in this one.
Yeah,
and it wasn't just like
good story.
It wasn't like, how can we throw in another toy here and another toy here?
Let's have another look at Devastator's ball sack.
No, let's not.
And John, the other thing is I felt like it wasn't written by a sixth grader. Like I felt like they actually had a writer come in and actually like, let's tell a story here and not worry about all the Bay shit that he shoveled onto it. And while there are nods for G1 fans, they're not like so in your face like, hey, look, let's all say bow wow.
Here's this guy.
Yeah. I mean,
it's got a lot of heart.
Yes.
A ton of heart.
But, I know a lot of people go off on Bay, but I still think that 2007 first Transformers, I mean, that's obviously what built all the other ones and so much other Hasbro. And, I mean, crap, you had Iron Man coming out then. That is a good movie still. After that, 3, 4, and 5, or whatever, 2 especially, they're terrible. But that first one,
I paid $1 at a garage sale to buy the third one.
Oh,
I want my money back.
Yeah, you need to get your money back,
dude. John, I want to pay for your grief counseling for buying that piece of crap, because
I think like any other property that's been translated, whether it be a novel or a comic or screenplay or a board game, Battleship, any other thing that's been translated.
Great movie, by the way.
When you let people who don't have an innate love for the property either control the script or produce the property, you're going to get the same results. Everything that has been adapted that I would consider a success had somebody working on the project that really knew it and had a passion for it. I think Guillermo del Toro's Hellboy is probably the high watermark for that kind of stuff. Yeah.
But again, you can also be too slavish to the source material.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
Look at Watchmen.
Yeah.
Watchmen is a great adaptation visually, but it's like it's lacking the heart to make it a movie versus a comics. And I think the thing with Bumblebee was they kept enough of what made the characters the character, but they still adapted it to film. And it also wasn't trying to be like Stranger Things with the over the top 80s nostalgia, which is crazy. That's so
except for the music, and I love 80s music. I'd say it was just a hair over the top. There's a lot of 80s music in it, and sometimes it's only 15 seconds of a song, just enough to put you in whatever the
But then
spot
again,
was. Just
when you're
An
barely.
80s based movie. Of course, it's going to have 80s music.
I would say
in it.
just
Well-
barely. It was just barely over, and I'm just nitpicking.
well, and also when your heroine's a teenage girl, you know,
Yeah, I
that
love
teenagers are all about music.
I
so-
love the Smiths, all the Smiths stuff, and that
Oh,
time.
it wasn't the hair metal stuff. It was the
No, they had the
Asian-
Smiths, which was great.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
And I have
it
to
made
say,
sense for the character. It made sense.
the way they cameo the Stan Bush song was
Yep.
hilarious.
That was-
Okay. See, now that I'm out on. I'm
But-
so
but
tired
John-
of hearing that.
But John, here's
Wow.
the thing: it's done in such a way that its inclusion made sense.
Don't care.
But I liked it.
Let's
I
watch
liked it.
John.
Yeah. I can't.
Yeah,
I
now-
want to see what comes next because it looks like it's made its way out. They can see the light now, so hopefully we're going to get a number 2 or whatever the next thing
No,
is
no,
for
no.
Transformers.
Now here's the
Now,
kicker,
from
though.
what I'm hearing, or I thought I heard from one of you guys, but aren't they going to now do if this one was a success, they were going to do Optimus Prime, so we were going to get more of the war and battle. Because remember, he says, "Bumblebee, I'm taking, you escape, I'll cover you." And at the end, we see Optimus Prime stand with like 10 Decepticons. I want to know what happens there.
That's
If
what
they're going to make
the understanding
It's-
is the next
It's
one's
in the
going to be a
list.
Cybertron movie.
Well, but unfortunately,
They've listed 4 publicly, and they have not set in stone which of the 4 comes first. But publicly, the producer put all 4 of the things that they're looking at out, so you can read that.
Hey,
But
Did
Bobby,
it
they
make
don't say
enough,
which
though?
one's first.
Bobby,
because-
have you seen it?
No, I don't plan on it.
did it
yeah, I'm
make
with you
enough
there. All right.
to justify another
think
one though?
This,
Because
this last week is the first time where I think people are saying it looks like it's going to be okay.
because what's funny is when you look at the weekends on it, it actually has had very, very small drops. It has not had
Yeah.
the usual drop offs that
Right.
films do.
It's only getting
And
3% to
weeks.
4%
Yeah.
drops.
But the kicker being is that it was also never number 1.
Right.
You know, it never opened. It opened in what, number 3?
Yeah, it did.
I mean,
But-
Mary Poppins, and what else?
It had
Aquaman.
a lot to do. Imagine coming in and trying to start removing the bad taste from that last few movies. I mean, it had a tall task ahead of it.
It had a massive uphill battle. I mean, it was
Yeah.
just kind of like it was even greater than what Retaliation had to do after.
I've got it. Point
Cobra.
of order. Is this the great just another Transformers show?
Well, my point.
Yeah.
My point of this is that we had talked about before. Bumblebee was
Yeah.
probably going to be an indicator of whether or not Snake Eyes
Yeah.
was going to happen. And my concern with that is that, here you have a franchise like Transformers, which has done, even that last crap fest of a Bay film made an insane amount of cash. Joe has never come close to that cinematically. And with Bumblebee not being the number 1 movie, I'm wondering are they now going to dial down either budget or are they going to, is Snake Eyes going to get shelved?
I think those are all good questions, but my 2 main concerns was that a potential Snake Eyes movie is this. Number 1, how do you present a character like that who, for some section of the movie, is going to have no dialogue to the general public who really doesn't know anything about that character? And I understand it's supposed to be an origin movie and all that kind of stuff. I don't care. The other thing is, I don't think they can do a good G.I. Joe movie with Di Bonaventura attached as a producer. I really don't. He's got he's like Harvey Weinstein used to be when he was still a really ongoing concern, in that he put his hands in everything that happened. He wasn't known as Harvey Scissorhands for no reason. He would go in and make edits after the fact and things like that. So I think that anybody who's not willing to let a director, a screenwriter, a scriptwriter go and try to process as much of their particular vision in that process he's the Jerry Jones of filmmaking, in terms, if you want to put it on football terminology.
I think for them to do a Snake Eyes movie,
Mhm.
and it's kind of like Bumblebee starts off, Bumblebee starts off the film being able to speak. and then he loses that
Exactly.
ability into it. And so once that happens, they introduce the human girl, and she kind of becomes your window into Bumblebee. It's essentially it's ET. It'd be ET if ET kicked some ass before he arrived in Elliot's house. But I think what I'm almost wondering with the Snake Eyes film is they're gonna pair him up with a speaking character who's going to be the audience perspective into it, and she's going to be, and I actually think it'll be a she.
Yeah.
Because I almost wondered if it'll be pre-merger Dawn Moreno.
It could be that guy's sister. I mean, who knows?
But it'll be something where it'll be it's kind of like what IDW did for a while when they paired him up with Helix. Pairing Helix with Snake Eyes made sense because now I have a character who is going to be who's going to speak for the one who can't.
I think that your conjecture about a smaller budget and stuff that could work in the favor of this type of film. When you force people to work within a certain set of constraints creatively,
yes,
you usually get a much more concentrated, boiled down product. But
ladies and gentlemen, that's why I love John Carpenter films so much, because Carpenter for a long time worked with small budgets, smaller budgets, and did some of his best work. Escape from New York, The Thing,
yeah.
Big Trouble in Little China.
I love it.
Carpenter was never a big budget guy, and look at some of the films he was able to. Halloween is the original amazing. Halloween is crazy low budget, but like
visually move the whole cinema experience forward
because he had to focus. It's kind of like look at A New Hope, the original cut versus the first of the prequels. George Lucas when he didn't have a ton of budget versus George Lucas when he had all the money and no oversight. And you end up getting a better film when you have to work tighter. Again, Robert Rodriguez for a long time was another example of low budget filmmaking.
Shit, look what they did with Deadpool.
Oh yeah, the first Deadpool. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You guys are missing the big obvious point about if they do a Snake Eyes movie. You can just put a mouth on his costume and it'll do everything. Just keep in mind, this is the same studio that made that decision. Made the decision. So
that's why I said as long as the Bonaventura is attached to it, I don't have any faith in the product.
Bobby, these will be the people that'll put a mouth on his costume and then have to spend all the money to CG it off, aka Henry Cavill's mustache.
I cannot wait to see this train wreck. Cannot wait.
I honestly,
what, Snake Eyes?
Yep.
He doesn't have the brand recognition that they think he does anymore. Kids under a certain age, no clue who he is. Most adults under a certain age don't know who he is.
Yeah.
But they're pushing it as if, Snake Eyes. Everybody, when you say Snake Eyes, I bet more people anymore in the general public will think of the Nick Cage movie.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
My soul.
You mean that old Nick Cage movie? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're doing it.
The bees. Wrong Nick Cage.
Well, it looks like Bumblebee's hit over 400 million now. So mainly because of international.
It's done well internationally.
Well, I have to wonder, as an aside, what is the actual taste of people overseas watching American movies? Because it seems like all the ones that make a ton of money are really bad.
Cough Warcraft.
Yeah. Oh, I have to wonder on the inside, what are they thinking?
Well, there is a lot of. I mean, it's proof of a lot of things. A lot of concepts don't translate from one culture.
Yeah.
I mean, look at it was a running joke when I was growing up. Jerry Lewis, and the French thought he was a freaking genius.
Yeah,
and people over here are like, he's all right.
Oh, you mean that Cinderfella guy?
Yeah. So, but
yeah. I think you're right about that. And again, it does go to show you never know what's going to click. I mean, just to be honest, with American audiences or foreign audiences. But it just seems like all of the movies that make tons of money, like these Transformer movies as an example, are just wretched. They're universally panned here in the U.S. People go see them for the spectacle. I mean, giant robot balls clanking together. From a jump.
Well, that second movie really got to you.
Yeah, it did, man. I will never forget that.
Stuck with you.
I'm with you. It was.
It's like every rabid European 8-year-old that I had to listen to playing Call of Duty Zombies at 3:00 in the morning, who's cussing in a foreign language as much as he can to try to impress you that he's older than he actually is, wrote that movie, directed that movie, shot that movie. I'm just like, if there was a way for me to exclude that from my life, I would do it. So,
yeah, it was horrible.
It's just not worth the time. If I could get those 2.5 hours back, I would.
And again, here's an example of the first movie. I think we got conservative Bay, and then after that, we got Bay with studios going, "You made a lot of money. Do whatever you want."
Yeah,
and,
make it bigger.
And you know what? All you have to do is use some names. Don't worry about the fiction that got with it. Don't worry about the personality. You can make Optimus Prime a murderous psychopath if you want, as long as you use the name and the right voice actor. We don't care. And as long as Bonaventura, like Bobby said, is involved, here's a bunch of Joe names, and here's the thing: the Steel Brigade. These must be some sort of robot army. Yeah, we'll have GI Joe fight the Steel Brigade. Yeah, they're probably robot ninjas too. Yeah.
I know it's not completely common knowledge. I know that it's been discussed in the community before, but one of the shortfalls of the first movie, if you just want to touch on it for a half a second, since we're talking movies and not action figures right now, is that Stephen Sommers, who is kind of a hack director anyway. I mean, if you look at his past body of work, the accelerator shoots, he shoveled that in to the script based on his very first screenplay he wrote and submitted in Hollywood that was not taken up because it was bad. So this is a concept that's already been crapped on for his entire career up to that point. So he's going to shoehorn it in this movie because he thinks it's a great idea. Well, it's just not smart. That's sacrificing a project for your own personal peccadillos. And I get enough of that out of Paul W.S. Anderson.
Well, look at Del Toro in Blade 2. The vampire concept for the vampires in Blade 2, that weird genetic one with the mouth opening and all that. That was Del Toro's original creation, which he then resurrected later for The Strain. It's the exact same thing. Look at Shape of Water and Abe Sapien.
Yeah,
there's
absolutely design similarities and stuff there. But I'm willing to forgive Del Toro for it because he's a good director.
He's good enough to pull it off.
Yeah.
Stephen Sommers, in my mind, has made one movie that I really, really like.
What?
The Mummy.
Yeah, The Mummy.
The Mummy, the first Brendan Fraser Mummy movie.
I thought for sure you were going to say Van Helsing, and I was going to punch you.
The Mummy.
You mean Spider Helsing at the end when it turns into Spider-Man and everybody's swinging? I freaking hated that movie.
But he makes good
because he couldn't even make a good sequel to The Mummy.
Nope.
The Mummy Returns isn't even close to the same quality.
But you know what? The one with Tom Cruise is fantastic.
Oh God!
Look.
The only thing watching about that movie was Russell Crowe's Mr. Hyde. That was it.
The movie that made Universal go, "Hey, we have this whole building and all these staff that we're going to have for our dark universe." The Mummy comes out. Now we're shutting that place down.
Yeah. You guys are we're going to furlough you for now.
Tom Cruise is another one. It's like, I like his Mission Impossible movies, but at no point am I convinced I'm watching a character other than Tom Cruise doing a bunch of stuff.
It's like these great character actors from the last 30 or 40 years, like Sean Connery. You can watch Sean Connery play King Arthur in First Night, but it's Sean Connery playing King Arthur in First Night. It's not a version of King Arthur done.
Oh no.
Connery.
Sean Connery's Alan Quatermain and League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is just old Bond, but I'm okay with it because
don't you guys think that Snake Eyes though, and what we're going to get is going to be like 3 acts. It's going to be if they're doing the origin, you're going to get Vietnam. All right, part 1, Vietnam.
Yeah.
The second act. Let me finish. The second act, intro to Arashikage. Third act, we're putting together a team.
I don't even think you're going to get that. I think what you're going to get
if I had 2 hours, that would be the 3 things that I needed to introduce this character.
Correct.
I think.
I mean, it's not rocket science, right? Like, I know a lot of us actually have creative jobs too, or are creative. You could do it in 3 acts.
Well, I think that you turn that very rote concept on its head is by doing the entire backstory and flashbacks through the course of something that's going on.
Oh, okay, you could do that.
You could.
Yeah, but you turn the concept on its head that way a little bit, and you get to be have a little bit more creative license. But again, this is all conjecture.
Well, and I'm looking at Bumblebee, right? They found a formula. If it does, in fact, mean that we're going to get more movies, including Snake Eyes, that's the kind of the formula that they use to a certain degree.
I mean, there's two ways.
It's not rocket science.
You can either start it in media res. You can start it in the middle of something, and you wondering how the hell did I get to this point, and then the film brings you back up to that. Or you go the route of like what Abrams' Star Trek movie did, and they showed you the tragedy at the beginning.
You got to care about the characters,
and because of that, they made you give a damn about Chris Pine's Kirk from the beginning because oh my God, this kid.
Yeah.
Look at what happened to this kid, and now I need to see how he turns out.
I'm invested in his character somewhat, as opposed to having
As opposed to
that's what you want. You want to really care about Snake Eyes.
Well, and what they're doing there is they're showing you the character. They're not telling you. And there's an old writing adage: show, don't tell. And a lot of movies, they'll tell you why a character is awesome. They'll tell you why a movie character is so important. And I could give 2 craps if you don't show it and let me connect to it in that way.
Yeah.
Then I'm just sitting there staring at pixels on a screen.
That's why the Blade Runner voiceover doesn't work.
Yeah.
There's a few key relationships that happens in his origin that you must show, or the heart will not show that was in the original comic books. And the stuff on the helicopter with Scarlet and all those things have to be there for me to really care about this character. But I want those things. If they're going to do it, I do want those things.
The problem with doing all that, though, and from a filmmaking standpoint, is it's easy to do in a comic because I don't have to worry about casting Scarlet and then keeping the same actress for a follow-up movie.
Marvel did it. Marvel saw the.
Marvel, though, I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah,
Marvel has a Kevin Feige.
Marvel and Paramount are two
totally. But
Marvel has Kevin Feige.
Remember what Bobby said? Bobby said something earlier about, I'm glad that, these folks lived and learned and now they're sharing with me.
Yes.
The Marvel movies have been out for a long time. At this point, we should be getting some good copycats because, frankly, competition is good. Warner Brothers haven't figured it out. Warner Brothers can't figure out how to keep people on contract.
Look at again, and I'm going to use the first Avengers movie as a perfect example because we had done Iron Man, Thor, Cap. We'd done all these solo films.
You've already established the characters.
The only character they really had to introduce was
Black Widow and Hawkeye.
Yeah, and really it was Hawkeye because Widow we had seen a bit more.
Captain America
in Iron Man
too.
I would be okay with if Paramount wanted to do something like that. The first one's a hero, the second one's a villain. I want to see. The whole movie could be about Cobra Commander.
Oh,
yeah, I don't trust.
But not Cobra Commander until the last 10 minutes. I don't even want him. I don't even want him to be Cobra Commander. I'm okay with a good story.
To take your story and run with it there, your Cobra Commander. Imagine, what was the movie Chris Pine did recently with Tommy Lee Jones? What was the title of that?
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, right? I know what you're talking about too.
Yeah, okay. So imagine that kind of movie, but told with Cobra Commander as not named that, obviously, but as the protagonist in the story, who sees himself as a good guy doing good things. Well, you robbing banks and people died, and this kind of thing. So you think about that kind of a story, but using that character, it has potential. If it's taken and turned, you can't stay in the picture box here.
Yeah.
The villains are the heroes of their own story.
You could always make Cobra Commander Storm Shadow's brother.
Yeah, sure. Oh, no. Love interest.
Well,
yes.
and female.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it doesn't have to be female anymore.
No.
I mean, are we
2019,
100%?
Fred. We good.
Snake Eyes and
sure
Cobra
that
Commander
Snake
had a
Eyes
bad
is even being
breakup.
made?
I don't know. I mean, at this point, Snake Eyes is in a scripting
I'm like
phase.
50-50.
Okay,
And
I would not be
Fred,
shocked if they're like, "Oh, we're not doing it."
Fred, you're done leading the conversation. We've gotten way off target here. way
Hey,
off
at
target.
least Snake Eyes is GI related.
And still is exciting. I mean, it's still exciting.
Is it?
Yeah.
Bobby, keep the hope alive. I know you got that bad taste, but eventually.
No,
Here's the thing.
You love Joe.
I
Snake Eyes
want
is Joe.
Snake
Come
Eyes to
on.
happen
I
for
won't go
reason,
see it.
One reason only.
I'm solidly with Bobby on this. Solidly with Bobby. I hold out no hope.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen.
At this point, I will never, ever support that company with anything they ever do. I don't care what Joe line they come out with. I'm pretty much done. After the clubs, I'm done. I don't care what they come out with. You see this room behind me? That's where it ends. I will never. You want loyalty? You want loyalty from me as a consumer, as a fan? Where was your loyalty? Where was your loyalty for someone who got you a Toy of the Year award? Where was someone who handled $300 million worth of product every year? That is why I will not ever support anything.
I completely understand. It's corporate America. I mean, we all, unfortunately, some of us have to take the brunt of it sometimes, but we all know corporate America. At this point in our lives, we all know.
Well, in that room, if you look at those things on the shelf behind Bobby, that was also at a time when Hasbro supported that brand. And
hey,
totally.
Bobby, I have a question. If Hasbro got their act together and got good people, and one of those good people came to you and say, "Hey, we know what you did for us, and we want you back, and we want you to spearhead what we want to do with Joe," would you say, "Not in a million years"? Or if it was the people asking you, would you have to think about it?
It would take a lot. It would take, like, it's not even money. It wouldn't even be about money. It would have to be like I never ever want to be a part of this ever again. This fearing for a job, like going somewhere and putting your heart and soul into something and fearing for it because they do it every 3 to 4 years. Like, no, who wants to be a part of that? Oh, you strive for family. Oh, family first. Hasbro's all about family. Hasbro's all about best places to work for in our stupid Forbes magazines. Yeah, is it a great place to work for? No, it's just that everyone's scared to say anything. Everyone's scared to say anything. So you put the fear of these poor people that are working there, busting their ass for you, when really they're just a number to you. They're a number on a sheet, and it's like, okay, well, when we have to cut people again, what number is up next? So no, it would take so much for me to go back there. So much. I would need some sort of guarantee from them that, like, no, you can never be laid off or fired for at least 10 years or something ridiculous like that, because I don't want to be afraid of loyalty coming into question like that.
So Bobby,
frankly, it boils down to it's not something that they'd be willing to give, and you understand that. Yeah.
So Bobby, you had mentioned earlier, and we don't need to know what it is, but you said you had another item that you had worked on that you thought would be eligible for a Toy of the Year when it came out. So
the Infinity Gauntlet. The Infinity Gauntlet got nominated for Toy of the Year.
So what happens if that wins? Do you get the award as the designer on it? Does Hasbro?
No.
I mean, how does that work?
I would like to believe they would send me one. We'll see, but it doesn't matter. I'm 100%. No one's gonna take that away from me. You know, of course not.
That goes in your portfolio.
So,
exactly.
So like, what they can keep that piece of glass. If they wanted to keep that piece of glass, that's fine. Because at the end of the day, you had a designer who made 2 Toy of the Year award winners in a row. And how many other designers are there right now that can say they even have one? There's nobody there on the boys design team that can say they have one. So that's fine. You know what? You know what? There are other companies out there that appreciate talent. There are.
I just want to see you wearing the gauntlet doing this.
Some jog on action.
I'll do that, and then I'll do that.
I knew he was going to do it. I knew it. Let's get off. Let Bobby. I want Bobby to get in trouble. I know he's under a.
I'm not gonna get in trouble. It's fine.
Well, I just knew you had your whatchamacallit.
I have like a group question when you're done, Mike.
All right. One thing that Fred pointed out on Facebook, and I think it was in our group. I can't remember, but anyone else here can't log in to the Collectors Club? Or Fred, have you been able to log in since then?
No, okay. So the other day I went to log in and it gave me this weird message, and then it's like, oh, your password, nope, we don't. This isn't, you don't. This is for registered members only or whatever. So I could post in the custom forums, but I couldn't post in the members section of the forums. And I emailed Angie, and God love Angie, because Angie just gets like. Nobody emails Angie when things are going right. Everybody contacts Angie when it's like, where's my damn December newsletter that I still don't have? And why did my payload come with 2 heads and no arms and all this? But God love her, Angie's response was, yeah, the forums are broken right now and we don't know how well that. And so apparently some people are locked out of areas, some areas and not others. And
it may be a problem with the software as well. If it was set to end on the 31st, so nobody else can sign up for memberships, if that's tied to the software for the forum boards, so that you're only logging in as a legitimate member, that may be part of the problem. It's hard to say.
Can you log in?
Honestly, how many people here actually visited the forums?
I did till they kicked me out.
I would go around close to JoeCon time and talk or answer questions about the custom class. I just go to answer questions about the custom class, but other than that, I didn't really participate because honestly, the forum format in any community, any fan community, is about dead. Yeah, has been for a while. So
I've never been.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. I thought some of us were like all blocked out because they posted. I noticed that I go there, I can see stuff, I just can't log in or post. And it's, they did the January updates and talked about the stand.
Mike, I mean, really, come on. On. You know what's going on here.
What, they won't let me on?
You blacklisted.
Yeah.
I know I'm blacklisted.
Oh, dude, you're like
now,
your shades beyond blacklisted.
You guys can still log on and buy stuff though, right? I can.
Oh yeah. I can do that still. They'll take my money. They won't let me go on the forums and talk about it.
Yeah, but what is there to buy?
Nothing.
I mean,
well,
hey, look.
You can purchase additional 12 figures if you want. Anything that remains in the inventory.
Look,
they have this entire year to sell out of.
We found a special from the archives, Steel Brigade Delta and a Skyhawk, and for the low price of only 3 mortgage payments.
Hey, did you notice that the final 12 never went back up to $50?
Nope. I was just fixing to say that how they said at the end of the year, oh, this is an introductory price until the end of the year, then we're going back to full price. And they ain't sold jack, and that's why it's still $526.
Because they need to move inventory. And honestly, now, once people know that you're done, people are going to wait for clearance.
Yep.
But that's a thing on this product. There's probably not going to be clearance.
No.
Not that bad.
And on the other side, well, no, they can get to the end of the year and sell all the remaining stock to Big Bad Toy Store and let them deal with it.
That's probably what'll happen.
I think.
Well, they did.
Again, this is conjecture. I don't.
What they did in Transformers, huh?
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Hello?
Yeah, what did they do with Transformer?
Transformers, they waited until October the following year, and they started doing discounts. And I believe they started off. I think they started 10%. And I think it was, what was it? It went up another 10%.
I can't remember. It was dead to me by then.
What price did they start at, though, Mike? Did they start at what they initially solicited, or is it like when a store goes into liquidation, everything goes to not the average price, it goes to full MSRP, and then it starts.
Oh yeah, they raped you on the prices.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
they were looking at they were looking at eBay prices. I mean,
well, I think what you're going to see with the final 12 here, and this is again just conjecture, is once the shipments start coming out, and people see pictures in hand, and that kind of thing. You're going to get that segment of the collector group that waits until stuff is done. You know, you see it all the time in Kickstarters. Oh, I didn't pledge for the Kickstarter, but I'm waiting for everything to get in the store so I can buy it once it's physically real. You know, and they're going to have that same kind of mentality about these final 12. The fact that you can buy the 2-packs instead of buying the entire thing is also going to appeal to some people, but because they're on such a much lower budget. I mean, honestly, if I didn't do some of the things that I do to generate revenue for my collection, I wouldn't be able to afford it. I wouldn't have been able to go to JoeCon all those years, you know. So
yeah.
You know.
I think some of it might play a part there because there's so.
No, I didn't. I didn't even get all 12. I didn't even get all all of the final 12.
I bought one of everything.
John got 2 of one.
Yeah, I got 2 hit and run 2-packs because I want one to leave carded and one to open, provided the card art's good. If not, I'll just sell it, I guess.
But here's what I think is that because there's so many issues with the FSS and so many quality control issues that have been passed up and missed, people might be waiting to see if these figures come in jacked up or something before they drop basically $50 a figure.
I think that there's a few people that probably feel that way, and I can't say that I blame them. You know, with the shorter development time window and all that kind of stuff, there's not as much room or opportunity to catch problems. You know, I'm not trying to kick Bobby or anything like that, but the General Hawk, the fact that slipped through, that kind of thing. With the shorter development window, you have less time to make these corrections. That's the only thing that's worked in our favor for the Chicken Fried Toys lineup, is that because it's been longer, we've been able to go back and correct more potential issues, address other concerns that might not have had the time to do so had we been able to stay on our original time frame. And part of that's decision making too, for us anyway, because it's been such a relatively long period of time in the development and production cycle. You can't deliver anything else less than near perfect because nobody is going to come back and buy a second time. There's a Kickstarter that I know of whose figures, when they were delivered, had some issues, not major, but enough so that I know at least half a dozen people who bought the first assortment. They're not going back to buy the other ones because there were quality control things that were not major, but enough so that they just felt like they didn't get delivered what they were promised. So, and related to the club, with as far as that goes, with the short development cycle and the short time frame, you're not going to be able to see those things corrected. You know, tampo problems and things like that ordinarily probably would get. If you look back across the entire breadth of the club's offerings for the whole time they've been doing this stuff, I would say in the 90th percentile, probably their paint apps are far better than you're going to get on anything at mass market. So that's one thing they always had going for them. But now you take that away, and it's a lot easier to start letting those little things snowball into a much bigger gripe and complaint. So let's hope it's not the case, but I wouldn't be surprised otherwise.
I can't remember if it was Fred or Evan who asked me about the prices of G.I. Joe or Transformers, but just for an example, you have to look at they have a loose and a box 2015 JoeCon sets, and the loose they have listed at $900.
What?
And then the 15 box set they have listed for $1,000.
Jesus.
Yep.
So if that tells you anything right there of what to expect, just imagine if all of a sudden they come out and say, "Oh, hey, we found a whole case of JoeCon 2012 Python or October Guard Python patrols, and we're going to want $1,000, $1,200, $1,500."
We found 25 copies of the Python Patrol Stinger Jeep and driver.
Oh, we also found a whole case of that drop figure from 2014 that we were missing.
Oh, the Crazy Legs.
Crazy Legs.
As an aside, to my knowledge, I got the last Python Patrol Jeep. I won it 2 years ago at JoeCon in the the draw. So I think I got. Angie told me that was the very last one. So
that'd be nice if it's
the
true.
Tiger Force set, the box Tiger Force set, I want to say is like $1,000, and the bagged is $900 or something. You can buy it.
Correct.
Yeah,
Right
that's
now.
what I mean.
You know what's screwed up about that? 2 years ago, you couldn't give those Tiger Force figures away.
Yep.
People wouldn't pay anything.
Love Tiger Force.
I don't.
Well, there's
really
one.
like that box set.
Chat, Fred. But yeah, I mean, just look. I mean, and these prices I'm listening to you guys is off the club page.
Of course it is.
So I just want
Yeah,
everybody.
they're going to want that.
It's
stuff
what they've been
removed,
sold
so
for on eBay.
by October, November, when it's getting closer to December, that stuff's going to drop.
Right, but just like they'll say in the emails, okay, starting it'd be around. They'll probably tell us in like August or September. This is what we're going to do to get rid of the liquidation. We're going to put the remaining stuff up on there, blah blah blah. And starting this week, it's going to be 10% off. But you're the one who's going to have to decide whether you're going to bite at it or not. They will come up with so much stuff. They will have all the first day pins, the first 100 pins. They will have so much crap they had found that they have extras of. I mean, you'll be surprised because they came up with probably at least a good 15 pages of stuff when they did the Transformers.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
And all the servers will crash the day it all goes up.
Here's the best part is remember those things they always tell you. Well, this is the free item that you can only get by coming to our convention. It can't be found or sold anywhere else by us. Bullshit. It will be up there for sale. Mark my words.
Oh, yeah.
Because they did it for Transformers, and the Transformer fandom were pissed. Because they're like, hey, you told us we got this for free if we drove out to your convention. Now you're giving it. Huh?
You know what that is, Mike, though?
What?
They are a business that is shutting down, and that's what they can use. They can be like, well, we kept certain inventory back for customer service purposes. Somebody gets their attendee vehicle and they come home and the tires, parts break, they have to keep, and I'm not trying to justify that, but they will keep certain inventory back for service and also for archive purposes.
Correct.
You always keep something back, but now that they're shutting down, I mean,
if you recall during JoeCon, that was, I mean, it was not directly public conversations from the club, but there were a lot of things stated by them that, hey, we don't have stuff to replace this. If you need to swap your figures because your box set's got 2 left hands or whatever, you need to do it now because there's not going to be any left when you get back.
Yeah.
And I don't see any reason why they would overorder or overstock anything, even for a good reason such as that.
I mean, the only, and again, you have to think too, unless Savage, as the head of the club, decided, hey, I want to keep back a few pieces because I want to, be able to say someday,
nostalgia or whatever.
Yeah, I did all this. Then they're going to get rid of everything that they've got. And so you're probably going to get some random crazy shit showing up.
Mike, when I got home from this last JoeCon, I couldn't find my gold pin, my first day gold pin, and the regular pin, because I was golden ticket, and I'm like, crap, man, I have no idea what happened to them. I just called Angie. I'm like, hey, Angie, I know these are limited, but I don't have them. I lost them. Within a week, they sent me one of each. So I'm
sure amazing that they did that.
They probably have, a few out there for people because that was a free item. So I would not be surprised at all if we see first day pins go up for sale.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, they won't be priced cheap because the Transformers were not.
No, they won't be.
Maybe he'll have a table
at Sky Patrol beer stein.
I used mine on one of these shows. I forget which show. I used it not even 2 weeks ago.
What's that?
That Stein.
Oh, yeah.
It's not machine washable, from what I understand. At least I don't think it is.
Hand wash it. Yeah.
I kind of want a beer stein.
Yeah, I got one. Maybe Savage will be at Joe Fest with a table of what's left, and maybe they'll do a bango in one of the rooms.
Oh, I'm gonna miss bango.
Hey, what's funny? You should mention that he actually extended an invitation out for them to come.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Wow.
But then now I will tell you this: that first year that we did a PeteCon or Pete's Robot Convention, everything that Pete was selling was Brian Savage's.
Yeah.
And he had like 10 tables of Transformer stuff.
Is Pete still doing that?
Yep.
Okay.
It's actually, I think it's like 2 weeks before Joe Fest, so I know my June is like hammery crazy.
I've got the
every
local
state.
G.I. Joe show here, Joe Fest, and your show, Mike.
Yeah, I think, matter of fact, the week that one you're talking about in Dallas, that's the same weekend as Pete's show.
Hey, Mike, are you coming out for the Transformer Con show here in California?
I want to, man. They just put.
They're going to have exclusives and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it's third-party exclusives, and I don't do third-party exclusives.
What show? Oh, you're talking about TFCon. Yeah,
TFCon LA.
I mean, that's pretty much the con now for them, right? It's just not Hasbro sponsored.
Right, pretty much. I mean, and they're doing it right. They're doing it in LA and getting all the voice actors that live in LA.
So Bobby, I hope you're taking notes for when the first BobbyCon happens after your Kickstarter is a smash success on what to do when you run a convention. And a fan organization.
Well, I'm thinking I'll probably take the slot because, when you drop the ball and you don't do any more HasCons, I'm pretty sure that the Providence Convention Center is going to be open in September. So
Hey, HasCon who? Come out to BobbyCon.
Hey, and you know what I can do? I can hire all the people that were laid off to work the convention because those were the people that HasCon used to work for free. So when you have 500 less people to work your convention for free, that's when you decide not to do your convention. So,
that's true.
I was going to say Bobby is going to be my first invited guest when we hold the first Chicken Fried Con down here in Dallas. The only thing I promise that you're going to get at the con is good barbecue.
Oh, I'm there.
I'll take it.
They cook when they cook down in Texas. I'll grant them that.
You know what I like about Texas? Open carry.
I knew he was going to say something damn good.
Hey, Mike, we need to get
Battle Force
Bobby and Josh in the same room.
Oh my God. They would go, oh my God. Guns.
Josh was just telling me, because I talk to Josh all the time. Josh was just telling me that they just passed the law that now you can carry a sword in Texas.
Yeah, that was last fall. Yeah. Yeah, there's no size limit.
Do you have swords on you?
Listen, I'm bringing my guns. I'm gonna put my Conan sword on my back, and I'm gonna walk around.
Get ready for the zombie apocalypse.
Crush your enemies. Hear their lamentations.
Let me give you a couple of words of advice. Swords are great, but machetes are much more practical. And they don't run out of bullets. And yeah, the law he was talking about was a restriction that was rolled back on the size of any bladed thing you could carry on you. It was 3 inches. The blade couldn't be more than 3 inches long. So now there's not any restrictions. So you could potentially walk around with a sword on your back. Do you want to do that in downtown Dallas?
No.
Why not?
DPD has, a pretty aggressive policy about shooting folks.
I just, again, when the zombie apocalypse eventually comes, it's not even going to be a blip in Texas because everybody's got guns and knives.
I think if the zombie apocalypse happens, we all just sneak in our car and go to Bobby's house.
Well, on top of that, you've got
guns and bourbon. We're set for life.
On top of that, you've got such wide spaces between stuff, and zombies don't move too damn fast, as far as I know. So, yeah.
Well, I'm a fat boy, so they might catch up.
I'm going to trip you first.
Screw you, dude.
Can you run anymore,
guys?
Mike?
I don't have to outrun the zombies.
Just got to outrun Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Mike run? I mean,
Mike's
to the side, he'll fall
Mike's
over.
new nickname will not be Angry Mike. It will be Chicken Niblets Mike.
There'll be one zombie with a toe, and that's all it'll be.
Sorry, Mike. You and I'll have to build up our big rig truck with our cow catcher on the front. And
there you go.
Watch.
We'll wave as we pass them by.
I'm not that worried about it because, like everybody else in Texas, I drive a pickup truck and a full size truck. They'll run over anything, other than a bigger truck. So it'll be all right.
Before we get off, I was going to say, Bobby, I know you posted over on Instagram about your final Build-A-Figure. Did you want to talk about that, or tell us what else you got coming out from them still? Or
yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good couple of weeks for Legends stuff. I know I said I wouldn't support anything they do, but I did it, so I kind of have to
support yourself.
I did. It was my, even though I've done a shit ton of Legend stuff, it was my first and last Build-A-Figure wave was the Kingpin wave. So I did all the it was a team collaboration on, character selections, this and that. But there were a good amount of those figures that I pushed for. Like I pushed for Kingpin, I pushed for Puma. Six-Armed Spider-Man was at the top of my list. So seeing that wave come out, and I was really happy with how the wave turned out. There really, really no major issues with stuff. Kingpin turned out fantastic. Doing a big fat guy as a figure with a suit jacket on is, could be, complex, but it all worked out. We had a great sculpt, great production on it. And the reception on it has been great. People have been talking very positively about it. I read some reviews on the Foosh about it. They're very good about their reviews. They call out the kind of the negative points that aren't really negative points, but it's just kind of like, hey, I wish we could have seen this in the figure, but I understand that. Like in Six-Armed Spider-Man, he doesn't have torso articulation. I was all for taking out that torso articulation to get those 6 arms in there, because that's the only way you're going to do it. Unless you're doing a Goro figure like that the company's doing now, but he's a bigger figure, so you can fit those arms in a 2-part torso. This figure didn't need it, or not that I said didn't need it. It just couldn't fit it. So we just opted to go without it, and I was okay with it. I think he looks great. His colors turned out fantastic. So the reception on that wave is great. I picked up a set. I'm really, really happy with it. I love those figures. And then coming out, I think soon, the Deadpool on the scooter and the Professor X in the hover chair are shipping. So I did those, and I'm very, very excited for those to come out. Deadpool looks great, but Professor X was one of those, like, as Rick yawns, Professor X was one of those long overdue figures that people are very, very excited about. So hopefully those sell really well, because the third one in that year is by far my favorite, and I cannot wait for them to show it. So I'm looking forward to that. There's a ton of other stuff that I worked on. I did the Avengers Endgame line for the kids. So there's some good stuff coming out there.
I just gotta ask, Bobby.
Yeah.
Do you have any regrets about not getting Sleepwalker in the Marvel Legends line? Because I know.
No. There were a few on my list way above Sleepwalker.
Rom?
Oh.
Quick question on Professor Xavier.
Yep.
On that figure, just by looking at the packaging and all the pictures, y'all added the little base stand for him to hover on.
Yeah.
Why that and nothing else really in the line? Stuff that deserved to have a stand that doesn't come with a stand. Why does Hasbro not give us that? Is it because of money or profit sharing? Or
it's kind of one of those things where it comes down to who's working on it. I looked at it. I said, I want this item to have a stand, and I worked with my engineering partner, and I said, can we afford it? And it was one of those things where we could, and I said, we're putting it in. Yeah, could I have put? I'm trying to think. What could I have even put in there for Professor X? I mean, I was surprised we afforded as much as we could, because the chair is so big. But we got the cerebral helmet and the blanket and the psychic effect. So there's a cool amount of stuff in there. It's not like Professor X has like iconic weapons or things like that. So it's like, I'm sure if it was just a figure in the hover chair, people would be ecstatic about it. But I looked at it as that chair hovers. It's not, that's what it does. It doesn't have wheels or anything like that. So, yeah, the chair can sit flush on a flat surface, but I wanted you to be able to put it on a hovering base. And that was coming up with that was kind of hard. I'm like, well, what would it look like? Would it kind of, who knows what maglev looks like? Does it give off like a heat kind of wave to it?
Heat distortion effect, that kind of thing.
But no one knows. So I just kind of came up with this kind of little like whoosh, like it was pushing the air off on the ground below it. And I think it looks great. And it's kind of one of those things, like I said, I made it so that if you choose to have the stand on it, you can. And if you don't want the stand, it sits flat as well. So I cater to both that. But you're saying, yes, there are figures that probably deserve stands, but it's kind of if the designer working on it wants to put that money towards something else, or if in the end you just can't afford it, those are all the factors that are there. Luckily, Bandai makes really good figure stands, so you can just get those. But with cost constraints, it's hard. Those little one-off stands and things like that, those little things that people ask for, you're gonna get them here and there. It's not gonna be one of those things you're going to get all the time. I know that in my figure, you're going to get a stand with your figures. So,
yeah. I mean, in Marvel Legends, I feel like it's deep enough, big enough. It's grand enough to deserve. Even if they did 3 packs of stands, 5 packs of stands.
Sure. There's those segmented Marvel Legends stands you can buy on eBay from China for cheap.
Yeah, I like the Tamashi stand. I buy the Tamashi ones for most of my flight guys or whatever. I'm good. I just hate having the extra step.
Yeah, I hear you.
With that being said, I know I'm looking at Big Bad Toy Store. Usually they come out roughly 30 days, so maybe around February they'll start hitting stores on the resets. But looking here at the Ultimate Pool, it's basically $40, and it's the scooter, Dead Dog, Dead Squirrel, Deadpool, some swords. Well, I found very interesting that
Squirrel Pool.
This guy.
Dog. I know.
Jeez.
And the best part about that set is the stickers that come with it for the
Akira bike one.
Yeah. We had a lot of fun with the stickers. And I can say this because we said it at New York Comic-Con and it was on people's podcast, so it's not like this isn't information that was talked about. But when we have to get approvals from Marvel for things, and Jesse Falcon, who everyone knows, he did all the Marvel Legends back at Toy Biz, and now he handles approvals for Hasbro, for Disney consumer products. When we pitched him the idea for the stickers, he loved it. So we said, do up your design, send them over for approval, and you can get going on them. So I came up with a bunch of designs, but I knew there was like 3 of them that they wouldn't approve. So I had like backups planned, but there was one that I had in there. Now, Rick, you might know this because you have a young kid, but do you guys know the movie Turbo? So Turbo is the snail. That's Ryan Reynolds, and he gets like powers, and he can like go as fast as a NASCAR. So in the movie, there's like a saying that snail is fast. So I made one of the bumper stickers that snail is fast because one, awesome. It's Ryan Reynolds playing Deadpool, and it's Ryan Reynolds playing Turbo. So I put that in there, and I kind of knew. And he goes, Bobby, you know you can't put that in there. I said, I know. I just wanted to try. So that
you were gonna try
that. Oh man, that was one that I thought would have been cool. Little Easter egg, but it's like I said, you can't do these things because, can't cross over that kind of stuff. But
hey, Bobby,
to put those together.
One thing I wanted to point out about Payload before we go. Since I've got it in hand, they got the tampo on the armor just right from your design.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's on there. It looks good.
Excellent.
For those that don't know, Bobby did a kind of an Air Force winged insignia tampo that's on the front of the chest armor for Payload. It's a little detail. You might even miss it, but it looks really good. It kind of holds the character to his Air Force roots.
So Bob, you did Payload for FSS8. You did Payload.
Fast draw.
I'll go through all of them. I did. Oh, can't say what that one is.
No, you cannot.
Lucky number 13.
No. Well, yeah.
Yeah, you can just call it that.
Well, we know what it is, but okay, we can't talk about it.
I did Munitia. I did Red Laser. I did Fast Draw, Blizzard, Gridiron, Halo, Recoil.
God damn. Okay.
Well,
there were 8, weren't there?
Yeah. I just want to make sure I don't say that one.
Yeah, I understand.
If it didn't suck, Bobby probably worked on it.
Oh, he didn't do Bulletproof, and everybody agreed Bulletproof's kind of a winner.
Yeah, I didn't do Bulletproof. I didn't do Claymore. I didn't do Clutch. Fast Draw was probably the best one. Bushido, I did Bushido.
Okay, you did Bushido. Okay.
Yeah, because you did Budo and Bushido's.
Yeah, Red Laser. Yeah. So I did a good amount of FSS 8 and FSS 7.
They're great. They look really good.
My Instagram is practically Bobby's work lately. It seems like.
Just wait till the Kickstarter, man.
John, actually, I'm just realizing I thought you meant the tampo of the American flag on his arm. I didn't add. That was the club. They must have done that. I didn't add the Air Force logo.
I thought I recalled seeing it in some of the early stuff that you did on that.
I did not.
That's a nice little touch. No, the flag actually shows up really well too that you put on the left arm.
I sure hope that's not Shelmar.
I hope that's what?
That's not sure. That's the Air Force isn't copyrighted written.
Well, it's not an exact translation of the Air Force logo. It is
gotcha.
Inspired by, let's say.
Oh, okay.
And it's small enough that any differences you're not going to be able to really tell anyway. But I thought I recalled seeing that in your design. That's why I was like, oh, this is great.
I did not.
Touch.
I did not.
Yeah, the belt is a nice ad too. I love you, Bob.
We'll go ahead and jump off. We've been going about 2 hours now, so I think we've kind of covered everything we were going to cover. So
it wouldn't be entered so much if you hadn't disappeared and left Fred in charge.
We were talking about Nick Cage films, all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah,
crazy.
The tangent train went off the trestle. The trestle. I can't talk.
Trellis.
Thank you.
Trellis. Yeah.
Oh, God.
All right. So we will be back in 2 weeks, and we'll just. Well, God knows what we'll talk about then. So
we're gonna find an actual guest again.
Yeah.
We need a guest.
Liver? Come on.
Fred, I'm working on that idea. That idea you had. I'm working on that. So
okay.
Well, it's like three of these guys here are like almost permanent fixtures to the show.
Bobby, you and I can sidebar on that sometime.
Yeah.
I sent you another email tonight as well.
You guys realize y'all don't see how I am left out of the loop on everything.
Oh, and
John,
hold on. And Evan, I'm going to email you, and I'm going to email John, and I'm going to email Rick and Mike.
Yeah,
no kitty stuff. No kitty stuff, man.
Hey, you know what though, Mike? We do this so that you have content for Angry Mike's show.
Exactly.
That's perfectly right. That's absolutely correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
He pitted it.
All right. We will be back in 2 weeks. Maybe me. Who knows? Might just be Fred by then. Who knows? They might be trying to vote me out of power. Vote me from the island.
Keep your fingers crossed. Hopefully, I'll have paint samples to show everybody for my lineup by then.
Woohoo!
Everything goes well. So
nice.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it.